Sup, my fellas. Don't forget to leave feedback and enjoy the story. Valhalla is one of the top 3 hunter training centers. It's so well liked that numerous hunters apply every year to have the name of Valhalla on their backs. However, the institution only admits 1 applicant out of every 500. Even 150 students are now awarded Valhalla diplomas. On the first day, the competition begins. Then a scene of Valhalla's interior is displayed, showing the interiors of each of the various cubicles. A hunter fight is taking place between 2 of them. From the top aisle, Lee Sang-kyo, the highest-ranking compact instructor in Valhalla, observes the hunters as they train. He declares that this time there are a lot of hunters applying to Valhalla. When Yoo Min-jun, the Yushin family's successor, steps aside, Sang-kyo informs him that there are many candidates for this round of selection. Then, Sang-kyo queries if he has come to see his niece. There are many expectations placed on So-yeon, Yoo Min-jun states. One of the top 5 families in Korea, the Yushin family includes genius Yeo So-yeon. At the age of 10, she possessed mana comparable to that of a high schooler. At the age of 13, she was able to add mana to her sword. When she faced off against the Yushin family at the age of 16, she prevailed. According to her personal datasheet, Sang-kyo describes So-yeon. Yoo Min-jun reveals that it has been claimed that she was able to communicate with the guardian constellation of the Yushin family. Sang-kyo thinks it's absurd. However, Yoo Min-jun claims that is the reason why So-yeon is held in high regard. The fact that each family has a guardian constellation associated with it accounts for why Korea had 5 ruling families. Typically, a hunter makes a pact or receives a blessing from their guardian constellation. The 5 leading families' guardian constellations, however, are distinct from other constellations. The Dajin family's Bow God, the Chaojin family's Tao King, the Jangsun family's Spear Saint, the Yushin family's Sword God, and the Asun family's First King. The family's members were blessed by their respective constellations, and were given more talent and skills than other people. Sang-kyo observes that there is a significant distinction between receiving a blessing and speaking openly. Making a contract with a guardian god is similar to doing so. Then, when Min-jun inquires about his niece, Sang-kyo responds that So-yeon should begin in 30 seconds. Min-jun asks the latter to allow him to watch, and after much pleading, Sang-kyo agrees to show him the screen, where it can be seen that So-yeon, 17, and Kim Joo-hyuk, 17, are about to engage in combat. Sang-kyo notes that they both appear composed. According to Min-jun, it appears that Kim Joo is aware of So-yeon's talent and is ready to give up because it is well known. Sang-kyo claims that Kim Jong appears to lack all fighting spirit, though. Soon after, So-yeon advances, expertly swishing her sword, drawing Sang-kyo's admiration for her fine mana and skilled sword work. However, as soon as she ambushes Kim Joo, he swipes her away with a single blow, and everyone is shocked as So-yeon collapses to the ground unconscious. The winner has been announced by Kim Jun. Kim Joo wonders if it is 300 years in the future, as he muses over why everyone in that time is so frail. Then, a flashback is displayed as the scene changes to the Tower of Destruction, 300 years earlier. The martial god Kim Hyun-oh suffers severe injuries at the hands of the destruction god Barche. However, Kim Hyun deals Barche his death blow, stopping the end of the world. When Kim Hyun defeats Barche, who is the Tower of Destruction's boss, the tower starts to fall just as Kim Hyun is about to fall with it. He reflects on how busy he has been working as a hunter since he was a young child. His time has come, just as he started to receive some attention and money. Kim Hyun ponders whether he should have brought his disciples the entire time. He continues by describing a person's unrivaled strength and claims that even if his disciples had arrived, they would have perished like dogs. Soon after, Kim Hyun is killed when debris falls on top of him. Kim Hyun-ho reincarnates as Kim Joo, a 17-year-old boy, 300 years later. In either case, he is happy with his new life. Kim Joon's body may be young and frail, but his knowledge from his days as the martial god is still present. He thought he would be able to live a life of leisure and luxury if he could just get used to this body. But all of his dreams are crushed when a transparent window appears in front of him. It says that a tower of destruction will appear in 5 years, so Kim Joo needs to get ready. Kim Joo calls Barche names, scolds him, and advises him to toss the ladder into the lava, but he promises that as soon as Barche shows up, he will kill him forever and live a life of luxury. A message telling him to reclaim his weapons and memories soon appears in front of him. Kim Joon then searches for the location known as Valhalla, in the 5th room on the 3rd floor to the right of Valhalla. Kim Joo and the eldest son of the Oh-sun family, Oh-syak, square off on the 4th day of the top 10 competition. Given that the future of all 5 top families is represented there, Sang-chul believe there are more spectators than anticipated. Syak views Kim Joo as a weakling and believes that defeating the latter would improve his reputation. The match will soon start. Syak doesn't compete in literature, strategy, or martial arts, but his great physique makes up for it. Without mana, he was able to accomplish things that others could not, and with a little training, his strength increased exponentially. He was referred to as a genius because he required no effort at all. Syak becomes enraged and storms at Kim Joo, calling him a piece of trash when he calls him a retard. Kim Joo believes he won't be able to physically combat Syak with his reborn body, though. Kim Joo, on the other hand, uses a martial arts maneuver to avoid his opponent's strength before using his leg to trip Syak and knock him off balance. When Kim delivers a powerful blow to Syak, he lands with a thud, giving Kim Joo the impression that he can see his opponent. Kim Joo is crowned the victor, and despite his body being weaker than before, he believes he won't have any trouble hunting monsters. The staff at Valhalla is shocked by Syak's defeat, and one member questions why the latter couldn't withstand such a straightforward maneuver as Kim Joo walks away. Oh Chul-shin, the head of the Ah-san family, speculates that the fools believe that Kim Joo's move was a straightforward assault, because even if his son hadn't bothered to learn martial arts and only cared about his appearance, he would have been able to deflect a fist from any of his peers. Syak's rage got the better of him, and he attacked Kim Joo without thinking and used the strongest magic he had ever used to put an end to the fight right away. However, Kim Joo tilted his head to avoid the attack because he believed he would have undoubtedly been hit, completely shifting his center of gravity. In search of the chance, Kim Joo moved quickly, demonstrating that he could outrun Syak's top speed. Since Syak entered the room, this has all been a part of the great mastermind Kim Joo's plan. Oh Chul-shin swears to do whatever it takes to bring Kim Joo to their Ah-san family. Kim Joo squares off against Choi Erin, the second daughter of the Choi Jin family, on the day of the ranking match finals. To Kim Joo's annoyance, the boys freak out when they see Erin show up. She moves into position, but Erin decides not to attack right away. Kim Joo muses that at least she makes an effort to anticipate the situation. Erin is superior to the others. Others wonder if Erin has mastered the element of change of ability of the Choi Jin family at such a young age, as she grips her sword tightly and bursts of light emanate from it as Kim Joo charges toward her. Erin tries to divert him with her stunning eyes as Kim Joo draws near and then attacks with her sword. Kim Joo, on the other hand, is too quick for her and expertly dodges. Erin uses her sword to deflect an attack from Kim Joo, who felt as though he wasn't attacking a body. Kim then makes her sword more difficult for her to carry before launching another fist attack. This time, Erin is unable to avoid his attack and is knocked to the floor. Kim Joo relishes victory once more. Kim Joo is at the top of Valhalla's admissions list. Kim Joo is surrounded by reporters as soon as he exits the institute, asking him to share his story. Kim is also wanted by some guilds. The mob attack has Kim Joo so upset that he tells everyone to shut up. Kim Joo is in the news for his erratic behavior, and many people think he is a psychopath for rejecting the guilds that were offering him great money and benefits as a result of his behavior toward the guilds. People make remarks about his lack of class and temperamental nature, because despite his incredible talent, he lacks a backup to sabotage relationships of that nature. Kim Joo joins Valhalla as a freshman on his first day there soon. Kim is utterly bored as the teacher recounts the history of Valhalla Institute. Kim Joo turns in that direction and suddenly he finds himself being watched. A student who has been attentively observing him turns his head away. Basically, Kim is at Valhalla's Constellation room to reclaim his memories and weapons. He only needs to enter and then exit. Classes start after the entrance ceremony. The instructor, Kim Ligon, is not pleased with the class distribution in the virtual combat simulation room. Hezerin of the Choijin family is seated next to Soyeon of the Yushin family in the front. Aosin family member Syak is in the middle. While the instructor is aware that classes are chosen at random, how come 3 out of the 5 students in his class are geniuses? When he sees Kim Joo sitting in the very last spot, he is just about to pass out. Ligon claims that he will perish, but he gathers himself and says that in circumstances like this, he must be very strong right away. After giving a brief introduction, the instructor presses a button. The situation for the entire class abruptly shifts, and it appears that they have arrived at a very different outdoor atmosphere. A large number of orcs and goblins are soon summoned by the teacher and are about to attack the entire class. However, the orcs are unable to attack the students because the teacher has surrounded them with a shield-like barrier. The instructor then calls Kim Joo and inquires about his ability to defeat the monsters on his own. The teacher is delighted because he believes that Kim Joo's silence and introspection will lower his opinion of him. If the students have only seen or read about the monsters in books or movies, it is understandable that Kim Joo would be terrified. Lee-gon is awaiting Kim's surrender so that he can begin the lesson. Kim, on the other hand, bursts into laughter and claims that, of course, he could take care of them alone. But Kim asserts that Lee-gon must first award him a prize because such tests are never administered on the first day. Lee-gon concurred that if Kim dealt with all the monsters by himself, he would take whatever action was within his power. Lee-gon cautions him that under such circumstances, monsters actually do attack. Kim, however, brushes him aside and tells him to hand him the sword. Lee-gon gives him his own sword, and in a matter of seconds, Kim Joo dispatches the monsters with ease. Although it has been 300 years since Kim Joo last held a knife, he still manages to defeat the monsters with skill. He recalls how humans were unable to advance at the time because of the prevalence of monsters. So they made use of whatever weapons were at hand. The sword is still a common weapon, though. Kim is suddenly transported back to the present by an orc attack. He is quick enough to avoid that attack, though. The fact that the monsters are fighting in a predictable pattern makes Kim Joo wonder if they are fake. Meanwhile, Lee-gon and the other students are admiring how expertly Kim Joo is fighting. Because all he had given Kim Joo was a simple sword, Lee-gon couldn't believe what he was seeing. That's devoid of both magic and swordsmanship. But how did Kim Joo cut through anything so quickly? The three brilliant members of well-known families are also jealous of Kim Joo as they watch her. Kim Joo calmly declares that he wants to go to the Constellation room and that he hopes the teacher keeps his word after defeating the orcs. The instructor ends class for the day and instructs the students to rest in their respective dorms. Kim Joo, however, finds the classes to be so monotonous and drawn out that he is completely bored. He wishes he would accomplish his goal and then depart. He continues by saying that he never imagined he would be a teacher because he had never attended school before. Kim Joo believes that even though the class was boring, he still learned a little bit about constellations. Kim asserts that he lived in an era in which there was no concept of a constellation. The term constellation refers to the elevation of those who achieve great fortune to the status of gods. As their holy relics and special powers, the majority of constellations are connected to hunters. The Vala is the third largest academy in the world and is filled with constellation artifacts. Any skill involving a sword and killing monsters is useless in Kim Joo's eyes. His body is on the weaker side, so he needs to get to the dorm and begin practicing martial arts seriously. Kim Orin interrupts Kim's train of thought because he wants to talk to him. Lee-gun and Sang-gil are conversing about Kim Joo's abilities in the school's office because Lee-gun believes that Kim Joo is not a high school student. Lee-gun bemoans the fact that, as a result of Kim, he has experienced embarrassment rather than difficulty. In the virtual combat simulation room, Lee-gun created 120 monsters, all of which were instantly dispatched by Kim Joo. That's a lot for a high school student who has never encountered a monster, so even Sang-gil is taken aback. Sang-gil adds that Kim Joo is not unique and that he has learned from his research that he is an orphan who was raised in a risky environment. Lee-gun doesn't believe Kim is a forger. Sang-gil, however, refutes his assertion because it is inconceivable that a forger would dare enter Vala and stir up trouble at the entrance exam. Lee-gun then informs Sang-gil of Kim's request to enter the Constellation room. Sang-gil consents to requesting permission from the headmaster to enter from the basement level, provided they don't proceed to the 5th floor restricted area. Lee-gun then expresses his concern over having to manage 3 geniuses and a moron for the entire year. In response, Sang-gil discusses a Ventric family exchange student named Rockdal Ventric in another class for his constellation. He was expelled from the British Academy for stirring up trouble there. Lee-gun feels a little better about his situation than the class next door, which makes him a little happier. Aaron asks Kim Joo what she wants to talk about, and she asks him to teach her how to use a sword. Kim Joo claims he will not instruct her in that, though. Aaron persists in his insistence, but Kim Joo treats her rudely, tells her to stop clinging to him, and walks away, while Aaron watches from behind him. Back at school, Kim Joo acknowledges that his current physique is better than he anticipated, whether it be for martial arts or whatever. Because he lacks any magical abilities and is unable to control mana, Kim Joo is powerless. However, if Kim Joo finds that item, the issue with magical abilities might be resolved. In preparation for this, he will prepare some mana for him. Kim Joo is startled out of his reverie by the call of Rockdoll Ventric, who brings him back to the present. He is accompanied by Yuria, his personal assistant. Rockdoll introduces himself after Kim Joo is unable to recognize him. He asks Kim Joo directly, doesn't he want to be very strong? The Ventric family stands out from other families because it has a beak mask that serves as a guardian of the constellation. According to the details of the Ventric family, the family is typically protected by an S-class or higher guardian of the constellation, who also chooses the constellation member and grants them protection and strength. However, they chose to have a non-constellation family member sign the contract for the Ventric family. It was a means for the selected individual to enter into a contract with the constellation without contention, and as a result of that unusual selection, the Ventric family enjoys considerable power throughout all of Europe. The branch family line could have as much power as the main family line because if you were a member of the Ventric family, you would be able to choose a contractor regardless of your lineage. Rockdoll Ventric has become too haughty as a result. He was recently expelled from the British Academy due to the uproar there. Rockdoll, who always got what he wanted, decided to move on rather than lament the spilled milk and tried to persuade Kim Joo to support him. Kim Joo, however, calls him an idiot in front of him. They fight in an ugly way. Rockdoll is abruptly seated and asked to take a seat by Santol. Rockdoll is furious, but the latter reminds him that everyone must follow rules here because this is Valhalla and not the British Academy. Rockdoll promises Kim Joo that he will approach him again but stops for the moment. Kim Joo is a little let down after class because he didn't learn anything about the Constellation Room. In addition, despite the rudeness Kim displayed toward them that day, the guild members keep pestering him to join their guilds. Oren repeatedly demands that he teach Kim Joo how to use a sword, interrupting Kim Joo's train of thought. Rockdoll, in the meantime, shatters a lamp with his fist in the higher class of the dormitory out of extreme rage. How dare a pathetic orphan insult him, pouts Rockdoll. He then tells Yuria to contact Desira to handle the situation. He tries to call Yuria, but she doesn't pick up. Rockdoll snatches her by the hair and menacingly demands to know if she still believes she is the eldest daughter of the palace family. He tells her that if she doesn't leave their family, he will. The poor girl is then violently shoved toward the ground, and he tells her to call Desira. He also says that the Rees family has a son who is enrolled in 2nd grade. Rockdoll requests that she inform Ventric of his desire to see him. Kim Joo, meanwhile, focuses on his meditation in his own room. He still believes that his body is worthless, though, because he is unable to summon the necessary magic, and his stamina is insufficient. Kim Joo recalls the previous occasion when he was making his way to his dorm. Oren's obsession with him causes Kim Joo to become very irritated with her and treat her impolitely. She keeps requesting that you teach her swordsmanship. Kim Joo suggests that one lesson costs 10,000 won, because he is very annoyed by her and wants her to leave her side. Oren requests his phone so she can enter her number there. To Kim's surprise, she sends him 100,000 won because she finds it simpler to send money online. Oren, hopeful, asks him if he would teach him. Kim, however, declines to assist her and refuses to take her money. Kim Joo is currently perplexed as to how a student could amass 100,000 won. He sort of believes that if he took the money, he wouldn't have to reveal all of his secrets, but Kim Joo brushes it off, saying that it was just money, and that it wouldn't help him find what he was looking for. He then gets ready to leave in search of the secret vault. Kim Joo enters a deep, dark forest and believes that he checked the school out beforehand, but the majority of the notes that were hidden there 300 years ago have been destroyed. There should be 4 notes left, but it's highly likely that there are only 3 at this point. Kim is aware that the notes are stashed away in the Valhalla Mountains. Kim Joo senses the marble that responds to his magic and uses some of his power to determine where the notes are. Kim Joo locates the location for digging as soon as a bright spot emitting light appears. He can only dig a few centimeters into the ground because his body is so frail. Kim Joo regrets that he should have buried his notes deeper if he had known about his limitations earlier. However, due to the Tower of Destruction that occurred 300 years ago, Kim Joo was forced to bury his notes. Kim Joo took notes and entered them here because the world was on the verge of extinction at the time, and there was no room for his wealth. Kim Joo hopes that everything inside is secure. Kim Joo finally finds his notes after going several hundred feet deeper into the ground. He discovers a massive keyhole that is too large for a typical key to fit. Kim Joo makes a magic string and shapes it into a key for that reason. He succeeds in opening the flap, revealing his glittering treasures and gold lying several feet below the surface. Kim Joo is relieved to have found his money because it frees him up from worrying and searching for the specific item he was looking for. Suddenly, he discovers some storage stones for the notes among the gold pieces. The time has finally come for him to use them because he infuses them with magic. He feels an overwhelming amount of energy flowing through him as he holds one of the storage stones. Kim Joo is unsure of the amount of gold and jewelry he should return. After all that digging, Kim Joo soon finds himself sitting inside the Valhalla Academy and stretching. All of his muscles are aching from that deep digging, so he feels that if he really believes he will make a note in the future, he must be insane. When Aaron suddenly appears and begs him to teach her how to use a sword, Kim Joo muses on the fact that she isn't letting go at any cost. She is persistently pursuing him because she believes she can learn more from his family. However, he believes that among the top 5 families, the Choi-jin family, which includes Aaron Choi, is probably a family that practices swordsmanship. She has never seen anyone use a blade more expertly than him, according to Aaron, who claims she wants to learn everything from him. Kim Joo then inquires about her father, the Choi-jin family's patriarch. Aaron Choi disputes the notion that he is more skilled with a sword than Kim Joo is. Soon after, Lee Goon storms in and invites Kim Joo to accompany him to the teacher's office. He continues, "It has to do with what Kim Joo last asked me." Lee Goon doesn't want to tell Aaron about the Constellation room. Kim Joo rushes after Lee Goon. Aaron is instructed by him to report to the practice fields the following day at 6 a.m. before he departs. Kim Joo's access to the Constellation room has been authorized, Lee Goon informs him. He will only need to descend to the basement level because he is not permitted to enter any floors beneath the first. Kim Joo concurs, so Lee Goon suggests he leave that evening. Lee Goon is happy that Kim Joo didn't make a scene when she wasn't allowed to go up to the second floor. In fact, he believed Kim Joo wouldn't consent. They intend to visit the Constellation room that evening. The Constellation room, which is thought to be Valhalla's treasure, is where Lee Goon takes him the following night. "The security is tighter than the main gate," Kim Joo exclaims. Lee Goon asserts that it is due to the significance of the Constellation room. Valhalla Academy is one of the top 3 academies in the world because it is significant enough. Kim Joo notices that all of its exterior walls, aside from the entrance, are covered in various forms of magic. Kim Joo then asks the teacher the impermissible question about how one might trespass to the second floor, and that something illegal must be done in order to do so. Lee Goon cautions him that he might be expelled for that, and even worse, Kim Joo might lose his mind before even leaving the school, as the magic power is out of control on the second floor of the Constellation room. One's mind would shatter and turn to madness if they came in contact with that magic. Now that Kim Joo has asked him about the second floor, Lee Goon is concerned that it is because he wants to enter. He reassures himself, though, that the top entrance student wouldn't risk anything. Kim Joo enters as soon as the gate opens. Lee Goon keeps calling him from outside and telling him that he only has 30 minutes. Kim promises him that he will return soon. On the 3rd floor, 5th room of the Valhalla Academy, an interface appears in front of Kim Joo to allow him to reclaim his memories and weapons. Kim Joo must first go to the 3rd basement floor because he doesn't care whether he is expelled or not, because that is why he entered the academy in the first place. Kim Joo is perplexed as to why there are so many stairs in the building. Kim Joo is taken aback to learn that the Constellation room fell short of expectations. It didn't seem to be all that significant. Kim muses over whether or not he should continue. Soon after, a screen notifies him that he has fulfilled the requirements and is being moved to a room. As he descends further, Kim runs into Barche, an old foe. However, before Bark could respond, Kim strikes him hard and angrily exclaims how glad he is to see him. He is taken aback when Kim Joo repeatedly punches him. Bark continues to urge him to stop and calm down, but Kim throws him to the ground. He is informed by Bark that he is not the type to use their fists. Kim Joo, however, is upset with Bark for jeopardizing his secure future. He further hinders him with light kicks. Kim Joo continues to beat him by accusing Bark of taking his wealth, honor, and all the time he spent instructing his disciples. Bark asks him, didn't he wonder what the place is about while puffing and panting? Kim Joo, however, responds that nothing is present. He learns that this is an imagined world from Bark. He clarifies that this location is actually a room inside of a relic. He is only seeing a representation of the Bark in his mind's eye. 300 years ago, his actual body passed away. Bark confirms Kim Joo's assumption that he has always been with this artifact. Bark gloats in his success as a constellation. Kim Joo once more punches Bark in a fit of rage. Lee Goon is patiently waiting for Kim Joo outside the building in the meantime. He feels relieved to see Kim Joo leave the gates. Before allowing him to leave, the security officers thoroughly inspect him. He is asked by Lee Goon if he didn't do anything wrong. Kim Joo answers coolly, I was just looking around. I couldn't go any deeper or I'd have lost my mind. Lee Goon tells Kim to return home because he believes him. Kim is walking when he recalls his earlier conversation with Bark. He said he didn't mind that Bark was made into a constellation. Whether he was the one who opened the transparent notification window is all he is interested in knowing. Kim again moves in to punch Bark when he denies it, but Bark begs to differ because Kim Joo killed him 300 years ago. He has no power while he is inside the relic. Kim is adamant about finding out who sent the notification. Bark admits that he too received the notification to get in touch with the reincarnated Kim Joo and regain his memory. According to Bark, this led to the appearance of a suspicious individual, and he questions whether it was his work that made him the owner of the Tower of Destruction. Kim confirms that the man sent notifications to both of them, but the man wants to know who he is. Bark, however, was unable to recall because the entire event has since faded from his memory. Additionally, he says that memories almost never come back once they have been lost. Kim Joo responds that the notification was about reclaiming his memories and weapons when Bark asks him about it. The text below was blocked by squares, making it impossible for him to read it. Kim Joo, on the other hand, doesn't recall losing any memories. The memories from the tower are still with him. Bark speculates that perhaps Kim's memories haven't returned yet because he's just discovered his weapon. Slowly but surely, memories will start to return as well. Kim Joo was taken aback when he discovered the weapon. Bark responds that the 4 weapons and village swords that have turned into relics reside inside this area. According to Bark, he used the local sword as a relic and, as a result, became the Constellation. Kim Joo is currently returning home, and he intended to destroy his village sword and leaf. However, despite how frail it has grown, Bark, who was once known as the King of Destruction, is reluctant to be left alone. Additionally, only the village sword is capable of completing the new quest that would be displayed in the notification window. Kim is distracted from his train of thought by a group of mobsters. Isn't one of them going to introduce himself after telling Kim that his seniors were on vacation? Larynx Sunrise, the eldest son of the Sunrise family, is the one who is harassing Kim Joo. Kim, on the other hand, makes fun of him by claiming that a bully like him also has juniors. Larynx is incensed upon hearing the derogatory remarks, but he asserts that if you come in first place in the first year, it is insufficient to merely greet your seniors. Before he could continue lecturing, Kim Joo gave him a hard kick and told him to stop talking and come to him. Kim Joo quickly and easily defeats his seniors by punching and kicking them. The seniors were certain they hadn't seen the sword earlier with Kim when a sword soon materialized in his hand. Kim, however, summons his adversaries to come to him while holding the village sword with pride, and he would crush their heads off if they didn't move. When Larynx receives a message from Rockdal Ventric telling her to take care of Kim Joo, the action shifts to 3 hours earlier. Rockdal will give Larynx a great reward in return, which would be a great reward for the Sunrise family. He goes on to say that Larynx doesn't need to use any weapons. He will still clean up the mess. Larynx accepts and departs right away. Larynx believes that a first grader cannot compete against a second grader because they are always and universally considered to be first graders. He believes that the stark differences between first and second graders are inevitable. They have a contract with the Constellations that explains this. In order to sign a contract with a constellation, the Valhalla students must visit the Constellation Room during the second semester of their first year. Students who create the contract are referred to as second graders and work as contractors. You can access and use your constellation power once you reach second grade. Larynx is also relieved that Kim Joo, who is not a member of any notable family, has no guardian constellation, making it simple to defeat him. Larynx is now regretting his previous judgment of Kim Joo as he sees Kim Joo roasting his colleagues with his sword. Using his own sword, a second grader tries to slash Kim Joo. Kim quickly dodges, though, and the attacker misses. Then Kim punches him in the face. Larynx was astounded to see that second graders were appearing one after another out of thin air. Larynx wonders if second graders need to be more skilled in magic or martial arts than first graders in order to become contractors. Larynx is perplexed by the strange swordsmanship, as it appears that Kim Joo is walking with a moderate swing force while inflicting serious harm on those around him. Kim Joo warns the survivors that he will crush anyone who refuses to move. The rest are undecided about whether to confront Kim or flee. Larynx, on the other hand, exhorts them to not be terrified of a mere first grader. Before he can attack, however, Larynx charges at him angrily. Kim Joo quickly opens his hand, ejects a weapon, and knocks Larynx to the ground by thrusting the end of his sword into his stomach. However, Kim Joo wakes him up, assists in his ascent, and inquires as to why he attacked him. Larynx invents the story that they are simply a group of seniors picking on a first grader. Kim Joo expresses dissatisfaction with his response and claims that this is why a number of those seniors arrived while concealing their weapons. This is hard to comprehend when you are caring for a first grader. Kim Joo is adamant about who sent them to find him. Larynx, however, is unwilling to butch. Kim Joo makes fun of him by asking, "Is this the gangster's loyalty?" He is sobbing a lot. Larynx stops Kim Joo as he is about to leave and tells him that Kim Joo cannot attend school in this condition going forward, because he would be expelled despite being a first grader. Kim, on the other hand, doesn't seem too concerned and claims that won't get around. If you tell them the tale of the fight where several second graders attempted to beat the first graders but were swept clean, the second graders would be embarrassed if the tale got out. Think carefully if you want to return to school and join a guild. Kim Joo smirks. He then moves on with a cool demeanor. Rockdoll is grinning triumphantly as she waits for the call from the second graders. Larynx, on the other hand, calls him and offers to take over the assignment. Rockdoll couldn't believe what he was hearing, but Larynx explains everything to him and cautions him to stay. Larynx was acting so confidently when they were speaking just a short while ago, Rockdoll reminds him. Rockdoll urges Larynx not to hang up and suggests that she report Kim to the administration because of the uproar he caused and the people he injured. Rockdoll continues, "Doesn't that mean they have strong evidence against Kim Joo if there are still some visible injuries?" Rockdoll assures Larynx that he will continue to pay him the full amount, even if he is successful in turning over Kim Joo to the authorities. In addition, Rockdoll claims he would persuade his family to support Larynx. Larynx, however, declines the offer because he believes he will not be able to regain his lost honor, even if the Ventric family agrees to pay for him. With that, Larynx ends the call. Rockdoll smashes his phone to the ground out of sheer rage. Rockdoll then inquires of Yuri if she has spoken with Desera. Yuri responds that she has let him know that the Rockdoll wants to meet him in person, but that it will take some time for him to get here because of his distance. Indignantly, Rockdoll speculates about Desera's whereabouts. A young man who had been in a fight earlier receives a message and announces that someone wants to meet him in Korea, as the scene shifts to the Aripia Academy in Mexico. Desera Ventric is the name of the boy. His face is covered in numerous scars and wounds, giving the impression that he is an aggressive gangster. Desera reads a message from Rockdoll requesting that she travel to Korea right away to take care of Kim Joo. Desera's eyes light up when Rockdoll offers him a reward that has already been prepared for him, because after being chased out, he had no one to ask for money from. Kim Joo arrives at the training room the following morning at 6 a.m. and is taken aback by its enormous size. He muses that it is large because the school itself is large. Kim Joo is persuaded to jog by the training area. He is startled by a voice from the Barche, and Kim Joo asks him where he is speaking. Barche responds that he is currently inside the sealed sword. But why is Kim so shocked? Barche still hasn't managed to flee. Kim responds, which surprises him because he'd have to beat him up and drag him back there if he did. Barche, in contrast, responds incredulously. It's nothing like that, so Kim need not worry. Kim responds that everything is fine in that case. Kim then queries Barche about the sword, inquiring as to whether it is acceptable given that it has been designated an artifact and is kept in Vala. The original sword is with Kim, and Barche replaced it with a replica, so there is no need to be concerned, according to Barche. Kim, however, wants to know when he learned how to create the replicas. Barche responds that we became aware. He no longer possessed any talents. He doesn't know where he learned how to make replicas, but he has been able to do so since the beginning. As soon as Aaron Choi shows up, Kim informs her that their focus will be on boosting her stamina. He instructs her to stretch and explains that the better her stamina, the easier it will be for her to absorb and control mana. It's the foundation for improvement, according to Kim, but he thinks the way training is done now is strange. They are putting all of their resources into mana before improving stamina. For a reason, not even Choi Erin has a lot of mana. She only has student-level stamina when using a sword. Choi has finished her stretching, so Kim declares that her real training has started. He makes her perform push-ups, sit-ups, and then dumbbell exercises. Erin is worn out from the demanding training. Kim claims that the training has just begun. Kim forbids her from continuing because there are still 20 kilometers to run, and Erin is about to suffer a heart attack. Ki-joo questions whether Erin was feeling all right the following day after they performed strenuous exercise the day before. The soon-to-arrive instructor, Lilia, will give a brief written test. She claims that she briefly explained that she would be testing them on their knowledge of how to deal with a specific monster on the first day, after telling them to do some self-study on dimensional monsters. Kim completes his test on time, even though everyone else is about to board a bus with the test. The test paper's repetition rates are compiled. The test they took today, according to teacher Lilia, won't be added to their final score, but it will be used to gauge their aptitude for the subsequent class. She announces that the official lesson would begin in the virtual combat simulation room in the following class. Barche, in the meantime, whispers to Kim, "Are you sure you could write answers like that?" Barche confirms that he has been watching him, and when Kim expresses surprise at this, he claims that he wrote the answers as he knew them. As the test results are being checked in the first-year teacher's lounge, instructor Lilia shakes in rage as she reads Kim's paper and queries how he could dare to use these dreadful statements as answers. A mug of coffee is carried into the teacher's lounge by instructor Lego. He asks Lilia if she is marking his test papers when he notices her going through test papers. She confirms and states that she is getting ready for the simulated fight in the following class. She advised the pupils to research the monsters. She then required them to take a short written test, which they all axed, as would be expected in a class with students from well-to-do families. Lagoon exudes relief and says he needs to leave. Lillian, on the other hand, exclaims Kim's name aloud and questions how he can claim that Rapper 1 is the solution. Poor Lagoon spewed out the coffee he was drinking because it happened so quickly. Lagoon hesitates before asking Lillian if Kim made any effort to pass the test. The teacher responds that he is currently making fun of the class and that it is not about effort. Lagoon asks frantically if it's really that bad, and Lillian responds that it can't be ignored. Lillian makes the decision to thoroughly instruct him and show him the paper in the upcoming class, that monsters cannot be handled so simply. The entire class is in the Valhalla virtual flight simulation room 1 week later. Lillian claims that after grading and bringing back the tests, most of the students performed exceptionally well. She then commands Kim Joo to come forward by name. She then hands him his test and declares that everything he wrote was completely illegible. Kim is questioned by the teacher about his test-taking technique after he receives a score of 0. Kim claims to have taken his test very seriously. The first question is then read aloud by the teacher. How should rock goblins be handled? Kim's solution was to shank it in the stomach. Her head is slapped by the teacher. Second, what would you do if you saw 8 jungle goblins charging in your direction? Kim reads that beginning with the ones who are advancing on one. To damn them, one should stab them one by one. But even if he pretended to have studied some tactics, the teacher finds his answers outrageous and says that, in Kim's opinion, a rock goblin is defeated by shanking. A rock goblin's defense, however, is B+. It follows that a typical sword aura won't harm it in any way. Kim, however, said that using a sword against that kind of monster could be frightening. Kim, on the other hand, responds coolly, "It can be done, and it's all over in one big strike." The instructor, though, believes that Kim's ego is limitless. Since Kim is confident in his response, the teacher says she will give him the chance. Huge goblins surround Kim as soon as the teacher begins the simulation. Kim is given the challenge by the teacher that she will regret it if she kills all the monsters at once as he did on the test. Kim concurs with the instructor after learning this and places the test paper in front of the student. Kim soon finds herself in a simulation of a forest and encounters a huge, hideous goblin. Everyone admires Kim's bravery as she confronts the goblin. The teacher wonders if Kim Joo's talent is genuine, because he has already dispatched 120 summoned goblins. He cannot, however, defeat the rock goblin with any old sword. As soon as the fight starts, the teacher is shocked to see that Kim has already stabbed the goblin in the stomach with the sword, and that the goblin has vanished, leaving the sword still intact on the ground. Kim tells the teacher triumphantly that this is shanking a goblin in its stomach by the name. Students from prestigious families are perplexed as to how he defeated a rock goblin with just a sword and no magic. How did he do it? Teacher Lillian asks Kim Joo. Because you need to be at least a rank contractor to kill a rock goblin with a sword, it makes sense that you would attack it instead. Kim claims that this proves his response is accurate, though. Before Kim could respond, the teacher said that the next question was asked and the answer was not yet. He is taken to the following simulation, an underground tunnel. Soon after, he runs into goblins from the jungle, or goblins the teacher is using to explain anger management. It's extremely difficult to handle these creatures, says teacher Lillian. The goblin in front of you would summon all the other goblins if Kim didn't do it correctly by using its howling ability. Normally, they can be defeated with a magician's assistant, but in some situations, it might be best to avoid them altogether and just flee. The teacher explains that although he could only see 3 goblins at the time, 5 more would soon approach him the moment Kim made a mistake. The teacher goes on to say that even if he used the sword skillfully, it would still be challenging because, from what she has heard, he has a very slow sword speed. To everyone's surprise, however, Kim Joo quickly stabs the sword through the head of one goblin. Before the 3rd goblin could scream, he stabs the sword into its mouth while stabbing the 2nd goblin in the forehead. The 3 jungle goblins were dispatched by him in a matter of nanoseconds. Kim turns to face the teacher and says, "In that case, I also got my second question right." Kim and Oren are working out hard at the gym. While Kim works out with incredible endurance, Oren gets beat up quickly and is left panting on the ground. Kim Joo is a little taken aback and wonders why she's having trouble with this intensity of exercise if she wasn't exercising with her clan. Kim asks Oren how she plans to face the monsters at that level of stamina, to which she responds that she doesn't typically push herself as hard. Oren reveals that she could just use the strength of the Constellation members to use her magic power. Kim muses that he should have anticipated this. Since they all rely on their constellations, they train their magic power rather than their stamina. Kim surmises that as long as they train well enough to borrow a constellation's power, it's okay even if they don't increase their physical ability, though the risk is fairly high. For example, what if you get stuck in a dungeon or labyrinth where using magic is prohibited? Or what if you fight for too long and run out of mana? What will happen if the Constellation members choose not to lend their power? Kim Joo asks Oren if she finds any significance in these exercises for increasing stamina. Of course they are, Oren responds, since Kim Joo promised to teach her swordsmanship only if she would perform those exercises. Kim makes fun of her by stating that the only reason she is performing these tasks is at her request. Oren flushes before shrugging it off. Kim decides to end the day because she needs to get to the academy soon. Oren departs as Kim Joo completes one more set. Following her departure, Barche begins speaking with Kim. He queries Kim about the identity of the woman. Kim confirms that she has kept up with her training without complaining, and Barche continues. Kim is then asked if he has decided to train her. Kim Joo responds that it's just that she pressed him for information about his swordsmanship too much. Barche then asks if he has actually demonstrated his swordsmanship to her. In his defense, Kim claims that although he hasn't actually shown her his artwork, she might have caught a glimpse of it when he displayed it in his classroom. With mock sarcasm, Barche remarks, "How could she notice its strength just by observing it?" Kim responds that even he found it mildly amusing, so he intends to impart some of his knowledge to her. Kim soon observes the Asan family member Sayak working out hard. They eventually come face to face. Kim starts off by inquiring about the subject's training history. Sayak responds, "I've been here ever since. He always made it a habit to work out before going to the academy." He then makes an excuse and walks away. Kim thinks about Sayak in awe, and he doesn't know if it's because of the martial bone he's born with, but it looks like he's able to train for so long because of his talent. Unexpectedly, when Barche asks why Kim is so intrigued by that man, Kim responds that he must be smarter than those who only practice magic. Kim believes that these Constellation members actually do what they say they do. Barche claims he has no idea because he is also a Constellation, but for 300 years all he did was stay isolated here. He doesn't know anything about the other Constellations. Barche suggests that if Kim completes the new quest set in his Systems tab, he might be able to learn more. The same instructions for regaining his memories and weapons appear in a short while, but there is a cryptic hint that appears below that reads, "Vala's eye of the great forest made Giorona's house." Be careful, the Heaven Sword is necessary to meet the condition. Kim tries hard to recall that he has heard something similar to the clue in class. It was their final stop for basic necessities during the first semester. If not for that quest, he would have simply fled after finding his belongings. It appears, though, that he must remain covert for the time being. Barche, however, belittles him once more by reminding him of the recent chaos he caused by picking a fight with those criminals. However, Kim Joo doesn't regret that confrontation. Kim Joo finally admits that he won't be able to leave anytime soon unless and until he completes the quest. Kim worries that as his reincarnation's secret is revealed, more will follow. The setting changes to the Ventric mansion in the United Kingdom. Adelia Ventric, the vice owner of the clan, is speaking to her subject while elegantly seated on her throne. Adelia questions the man about what actually occurred. The man responds that the outside of the Reading labyrinth has been taken care of. Adelia praises him and asks if he has any additional information for her. The latter informs her that he is considering hiring a few capable men he has met along the way. He continues by saying that a member of Robert's clan, which was destroyed, has emerged from this time's labyrinth. The lady queries whether the subject of the conversation is fairly powerful. The man confirms and claims that the two contractors he has located are of rank. Adelia affirms that they are prepared to receive the Ventric family's blessing if they have reached that level. She orders the man to assess their qualifications before directing them toward her. If he has any additional comments, Adelia wants to know. The man reluctantly informs her that he has information about Rockdale. The woman asks if anything happened to them that day. Adelia is told by the man that Desura was summoned to South Korea. Hearing that name completely disgusts Adelia. Desura is thought to be the lynx's worst and the black sheep of the Ventric family. He has used his family name to commit a number of terrible crimes. He killed 5 people in England's academy when he was 19 years old because they started an argument with him. He was thus totally cut off from the Ventric family by the time he was 20 years old. He has spent a long time living in hiding. Adelia questions why Desura met with Rockdale. For the benefit of Rockdale, Adelia requests that the man place Desura under close observation. If he is caught acting strangely, Adelia orders him to strictly warn Rockdale as well. He'll be kicked out of the house. The man nods in agreement and walks away. Adelia muses on the fact that none of these fools have earned their positions of authority. Such strength is not intended for waste. Adelia claims that in the end, all of that power belongs to her alone. The focus changes to the classroom as the teacher instructs the class about a villain. He explains that it's primarily used to refer to individuals who abuse the powers of the constellation for bad. Typically, they work alone, but occasionally, they work for various organizations. The One God Group is the most infamous of those organizations. Kim Joo is extremely bored as the teacher continues the lecture. He considers how those workouts are making his body stronger and stronger every day. But his body also has the ability to use mana. Even though it isn't genius level, it is still much better than his previous body. Nevertheless, he is still baffled as to why, despite this body's lack of training, it was in such poor shape. He could hardly complete his Kai sessions the first day because he had less mana than a typical person. He already felt like passing out from shoveling because the body's condition was so poor. Kim speculates that something might have happened in the past, but she decides that she shouldn't worry about it right now. Unexpectedly, Soyeon passes Kim Joo a note that reads, "Hey, Kim Joo is angry." Later, teacher Lingun makes the announcement that they will be permitted to leave the school the following weekend. However, those students who intend to leave must submit a separate application. Kim Joo also submits an application in order to go for a stroll outside the building. When Soyeon calls him from behind, Barche has just confirmed with him, and Kim Joo is about to say something. She becomes so tense that she begins to stammer when Kim Joo turns to face her. It appears as though she wants to say something but is too afraid to speak up. Kim is so enraged by this that he chastises her to speak up right away because he needs to submit something crucial. She does, however, lose her cool when Kim Joo refers to her as a freak. The focus shifts to Kim Joo, who is seated in front of his computer in the Valhalla dorm. He is looking up information about the location he will be visiting the following day. He is looking for a trading website where he can sell the loot he discovered in the safe. He soon discovers a location known as the market. He learns that after paying a small entrance fee, anyone can use it and anyone can freely trade anything. However, because of the bad people who trade there, it is viewed as a black market. Because it is routinely maintained by the guardian constellation known as the Hidden Ruler, high-ranking individuals openly use the market. Governments don't enforce laws against the market, despite the fact that it is illegal. Kim Joo believes he can easily enter it because of this. He only needs to click the reservation link provided in the comments to get started. Kim would then be given a location that was no more than 50 miles from his present location. The market is here once he gets there and opens the door. Erin sends him a message informing him that she will not be able to attend her training the following day because she has plans. To his annoyance, she sends her some silly emojis after he wishes her a safe journey. Kim Joo later departs for his designated destination, which is expected to be inside an abandoned cafe. When he arrives, he is shocked to see the location, which is old and deserted with cobwebs hanging everywhere. Kim Joo ignores everything and arrives at the proper location. He locates a door and uses it to enter a room. He is in a large, empty alley with buildings surrounding it. Nevertheless, despite this being Kim Joo's first visit to the market, he feels as though he has been here before. It's all reminiscent of the night he experienced 300 years ago, particularly the purple sky and the cloudy moon. A strange man summons him and inquires as to whether this is his first visit. Kim Joo recalls the instructions that stated a man in a leather suit would demand that he pay the entrance fee of $210,000. Kim Joo gives him the money, leaving him with just $31,000. He is unconcerned, though, because he can earn more money here. Since it's Kim's first time in the market, the guy then offers to guide him. Kim queries him as to where he should go if he owns jewels to sell. Kim Joo doesn't want to auction off his jewels, but rather sell them quickly, so the man directs him to the market in the 3rd district, where he will find a ton of merchants who buy anything from jewels to weapons as well as anything anyone could think of. Kim asks him who he thinks is the most reliable person in the area, and the man responds that Morris is a good candidate because he is known for having competitive prices. Then he gives instructions on how to proceed by simply walking straight ahead and turning right when he comes to a fork in the road. Because of the nature of the goods being sold over there, the man strongly advises him to wear a mask. The man gives Kim Joo a mask as a token of appreciation. Kim Joo acknowledges him and moves in that direction. When he arrives, he discovers a man hiding behind a cat mask. Kim Joo addresses him as Morris and says he wants to sell some things. The man claims that he could process them quickly if they were jewels and gold. When Morris opens the bag that Kim Joo hands him and looks through the accessories, he is shocked to see a ring that is referred to as an artifact from the Destruction era. Morris confirms that the items Kim Joo brought are an artifact of destruction from every angle after careful inspection. Morris questions where he actually obtained those artifacts. He is asked by Kim Joo how much Morris would be willing to pay for those jewels. When Morris asks him where he obtained those jewels, Kim Joo responds frankly, "I heard such questions aren't supposed to be asked here." Morris quickly apologizes and explains that the glitter of those artifacts caused him to become sidetracked. He genuinely declines to exchange those jewels, though, as he lacks the funds to purchase them all from Kim Joo. He also couldn't process them. He then suggests that Kim Joo go to the auction house. Kim then asks how long it would take to sell the jewels if he put them up for auction. Morris responds, 2 to 3 weeks, noting the large number of reservations for slots. The auction hall won't be ready for quite some time. Kim wonders if he must then make a personal trip to the market. Morris responds in the affirmative because he needs to be verified before being paid. Kim then asks how much he could expect to receive for those jewels in the auction. Kim queries him about how much he's missing after Morris shows him the calculated amount. Morris explains that the figure was only calculated as a rough estimate. However, the situation would be entirely different in an auction. Morris claims that he could still get 3/4 of the value of the artifacts, even if he sold everything he owns. Kim Joo consents to accept 3/4 of the total value. Morris is taken aback because there is another very important factor that plays a significant role in why the Destruction-era artifacts command such high prices despite their age. The constellations are the cause of it. The constellations that began to appear at the end of the period strangely responded favorably to those ancient artifacts. Because of this, a helpless common person was able to negotiate a deal with those S-rank constellations. Morris adds that he is still a contractor and goes by the alias the Alchemist's Zone. Because of the mana that flows through them and the magic from the Destruction era that still clings to them, Morris believes that those artifacts are absolutely real. There are 8 artifacts in total, and Morris is thrilled that he was able to acquire one of them for such a low cost. Morris is confronted by a strange man wearing a mask. Kim Joo quickly finds a solution to his financial problems and finds his way back to the cafe. Kim Joo is overjoyed because he just took 8 rings out of the safe and made a fortune by selling one of them. Soon after, he gets a call from an unidentified individual introducing herself as a Valaha instructor. Kim Joo is invited to join her for lunch and she is instructed to meet her in front of the training room. Lunch will be her reward. Kim Joo is ready to respond, but the caller hangs up the phone first. Kim Joo is currently unsure of whether or not to accept this odd lunch invitation. Morris asks the visitor at the market what brought him there in the meantime. Both seem to be very familiar with one another. The person is identified as Black Cat, the market's proprietor. Morris has applied anonymously for an auction for the first time, and the owner is worried because he wants to inspect the item for the auction. Morris clumsily hands over those items, and the Black Cat announces that the ring belongs to his constellation owner, who wants it. Instructor Lilia has invited Kim Joo to lunch at Valaha's restaurant. Kim is wondering why Valaha has such a posh place, while Lilia is gorging on some food. Kim Joo declines Lilia's offer to be her assistant after that. However, Lilia cautions him against making snap decisions because working as her assistant would have many advantages for him. Kim would be awarded numerous grants and scholarships. He would also have the chance to collaborate with Lilia on a thesis. Kim could write about the 3 different monster attacks if a thesis is published. If that occurs, his name would be included in the world's Monster Research Association, which would inevitably bring fame and riches. Additionally, he could leave the building twice a week, rather than just once a month. Kim Joo, however, continues to reject because he does not find any of the advantages alluring. Even though he is an instructor, it would be difficult to get in because his immediate goal is to reach the Eye of the Great Forest, which can only be reached during the Grade 1 performance assessment. Lilia persists and claims that if she could provide him with some information that sparks his interest, he might be willing to tell her about the monster attacks. When Kim Joo inquires about the nature of the information, the latter responds that it concerns Aaron, who is constantly circling him. She reveals that Aaron's family is about to abandon her. Kim Joo is not entirely interested in this information, though, but Lilia insists that he must impart some information to her because he hasn't forgotten what he heard. Choi and her older brother are then called by their father to participate in a sorting competition that will take place 3 weeks later. The winner will receive a special blessing from the constellation of their family. The family would disown the person who would lose. Aaron's older brother makes fun of her for being legitimate and insults her by saying that she is not qualified to be the head of such a wealthy family, or even to be a member. Aaron's heart breaks as she thinks back to how her mother always wanted her to be the family's head, in order for her to be free from all suffering and pain. Our hero is already sitting in his class. The teacher is writing something on the blackboard. The assistant reminds our hero that midterm exams are about to begin, and that he needs to be more attentive because his homeroom teacher is just explaining the rules. But our hero doesn't give a damn. He asks his helper if he should worry about this at all. He doesn't pay attention to it at all. The teacher says that in Valhalla, exams are incredibly important. In fact, in the midterm, as well as the final exam, students who receive the lowest score will be expelled from school immediately. It is for this reason that all students will have to try hard. He hoped very much that they would be well prepared for everything, as there would be not only written exams, but also practical ones which would test their strength. Our hero was interested only in one thing, in the written exam, as in his opinion, it was much more important than just practical. Our hero understood that he mustn't leave the school. In fact, he must stay there until he reaches the great forest. But at one moment he realized that he did not even know how to get there, so he called his helper, Barche. He was surprised. He did not expect that our hero would call him right now, so he asked him what our hero wanted him to do. But our hero didn't hesitate long to ask him a strange question. Does Barche attend many classes at this school? He was a little embarrassed and answered that he probably did. But what does our hero want to know if he asks such a question? But our hero surprised him even more by saying that if he didn't know how to write the written part of the test, it was Barche who would answer it. He was very surprised, but our hero, thinking he did not understand, told him again with a smile on his face that he would just write the test for him. But in spite of this unbelievable plan, Barche does not like it because it all seems very unfair to him. But our hero did not understand what injustice he was talking about because he would write the test anyway, and he would tell him the answers. He smiled a lot, but Barche was very nervous about it. But at that time, the teacher said that the lesson was over, so he had dismissed everyone from the class. Many people stood up and wanted to go away, but our hero called his name from behind. A girl came up to Joo-hyuk and asked him if they were going to train today. But why did he ask if she wanted to finish training today? But our hero answered that, of course, doesn't she want to finish? She wants to learn how to use a sword. Joo-hyuk said that it's about time we had a serious talk about her training with him, but it's more likely that she doesn't even know how to use a sword. He said that what he was teaching her was not really swordsmanship, but that he would show her how to use a sword. Our hero even thought that it's time to start training with his own sword as well. He asked her to come to the gym, so she was very happy. After some thought, we see that our hero is in the training room with the girl. Our hero first of all asked her how long it had been since the last time she used it. To this, he got the answer that she hadn't used it in a day and a half. She added that she hadn't touched it since she had begun to practice with it. Our hero was surprised. Doesn't that mean that she had practiced every day before? If so, he asked her to draw her sword. When she drew her sword, our hero continued to show her, saying that she should make an accent on her ring finger and little finger and then draw the hilt. The girl repeated all this, and then her sword was filled with purple glow. She was surprised because she did not even put her mana, but it seems to her that it is more reliable and stable than holding a blade with both hands. However, our hero decided to surprise her once again, telling her to start attacking him with everything she had. The girl agreed, so she took her sword. She started to draw it from its sheath. She was very surprised because after a moment her whole body was covered with very small lightning, and the speed of her feet had increased. Our hero also said that she was much faster, but she did not even put more magic into her legs than necessary. The girl agreed, so immediately after these words, she began to run at our hero. He dodged a punch and said that she was definitely moving much better. In all her movements, he could feel the progress. He had noticed, however, he noticed that when she stopped, she had a weak spot. He also noticed that she needed to rotate her body a little. He leaned her back again with his sword, and kneading her shoulders, he told her to attack him, and this time he asked her not to stop. She attacked him again, but this time her sword almost hit our hero, but he dodged again. Although she continued to attack our hero, she said that thanks to the training of our hero, even though she realized that she became much stronger, she had no success again. When evening came, we could see that our hero and the girl were still training at that very hall. On the floor, we can see the traces of their training. Our hero asks the girl if an hour has passed, because if it has, they should have already finished. The girl sat down on the floor, almost exhausted. She thought that most likely her swordsmanship was better than ever thanks to our hero's training. It was not even comparable to her swordsmanship during the introductory ceremony, but she is still surprised that she couldn't even touch it. She asked our hero to teach her how to fight, so she immediately asks our hero if he will spar with her next time. He looks at her and rubs his chin. He thinks that it would be useful to spar with Choi Ah-rin in every way, and the fact that it is fun to consider her because she has a talent. He could feel it during the opening ceremony. She is familiar with the art of wielding a sword. She even uses the breathing technique, but it feels different. Still, our hero thinks that she is the only reason he can relax a little, but if it was 300 years ago, she might have been his worthy pupil, even if he didn't have that opportunity. But after all our hero had thought up, she came to him and asked if they could train a little. Our hero decided to make a joke to lighten the mood. He said he would not train her, but she answered to his surprise with a poker face that she understood. Our hero was surprised and asked her why she gave up so quickly, but she said that he had come to that conclusion because our hero was right in her eyes. She thought that if she followed the words of our hero, she would definitely become stronger. Our hero was going through her words in his head and thinking about her words, but after a short period of time, he said that if that's what she said, then they should probably finish the training. After 2 weeks, we can see that many students have already gathered at the stadium in Valhalla. Yoo So-young is standing and is very nervous because this is the first time she has been in the stadium since the initiation ceremony. The other student, Oh Seon-hyuk, thought that he couldn't even imagine that so many people would gather. Only the same girl didn't think anything. She was very serious. But our hero didn't understand anything at all. He didn't even know the reason for his gathering there. Our hero's assistant immediately started shouting at him, saying that his homeroom teacher had told him about it more than 2 weeks ago. Our hero wanted to ask more questions to his assistant, but the teachers asked everyone to be quiet because now they will talk about the midterm exams in Valhalla. He said that this time his midterm practical assessment would be dungeon attack. Many students began to be surprised and worried because of the information that they will unite and go to an artificial dungeon. At that moment, many students looked around and noticed many doors, or rather passages. The teachers said that they could now create their own team. They let them do it, as it would help them in the future. One of the conditions in this competition is that players can both increase the number of their players and decrease. However, they will only rank everyone according to their level of contribution during the dungeon attack. But the criteria for disqualification was that if they do not finish, in the allotted time, they are out. The difficulty of the dungeon is F+. As soon as the teacher announced that their test had already started, everyone immediately started rushing around each person and asked everyone if there were strong players around. Teachers were looking at this and understood that everything that was happening around them had been planned. While the girl was looking for her team, saying that the dealer of their team was already good, they needed someone else. Many people came up to the girl at this time, but she still thought that she should find someone better than her, because using all the statistics, 5 hours is enough time for 8 people in the dungeon. The main thing is teamwork. She also thought that with a group of 6 people, they would be able to handle it. Everything looks easy, but she realizes that she should not be allowed to show her real abilities. The teachers, looking at all this, understood that if someone from a rich family happens to be at this tournament, then the essence of the exam is very clear for them, but it is not clear for the other people, so they enter by 20 people or by a group of 8. But the teachers understood that if the team was not well balanced, there would be fights, because this was a common and frequent occurrence. The teachers went on to say that in about 30 minutes or so, all participant students will enter the dungeon, so they are already preparing to count the points. Our hero at the same time stood in the middle of the entire field and thought about whether all students who have gone into the area also receive points. After all, if so, then he should enter it. Looking at the remaining players without a team, our hero overshadowed the girl he already knew. He went over and asked her why she hadn't gone in yet. He asked her what she was going to do, because she was still there, just like him. But she replied that she would do whatever our hero told her to do. Our hero was very shocked by this situation. He did not understand what was wrong with this girl, because she tried to follow his words from the last training. He told the girl to go alone, because he will also go alone. Our hero said that it should be done, because it is not even difficult. While she stood in front of the door and looked at him with her eyes, other students also looked at her and wondered if she really was the famous Choi Erin. They said that since she does not have a team, they are asking her to join them because they have exactly 7 people, so there will be 8 of them with her. but many said that this is impossible because she will be disqualified. But the girl was sure that it would be easy, because it is not difficult. But while everyone wanted to stop her, she was already out the door. We can see that when all the participants went through the door, all the teachers had already gone into the observation room. They had been watching everything that was going on inside. One of the teachers, on the other hand, was watching the whole thing, setting up words that they would give a rough grade that made people think it was too harsh. However, we can conclude from this that it is very fast and accurate, and without any mistakes. But when the instructor Lee Sang-kol was a soldier, he was called the Master of Sweeps. He is a legendary soldier with a demonstration dungeon clearance rate of 99%. But the teacher thinks that the essence of dungeon attacks is better than anyone else, so he is the one who can give such scores. That's why he respects him. At the same time, this same Lee Sang-kol thought that this particular year of students seemed very strong to him. He even thinks that children of 5 great families are doing well, and he even thinks that there is a great student among them. That student is Yoo So-yum. We are transported to a dungeon where she is the one in charge. While the orc is attacking them, she is the one who gives the clear orders. It's only because of her command that she was able to kill the orcs, and she also surprised Lee Sang-kol. He realized that she was very good at clearing dungeons, and was also great at distributing certain roles among her team members, but also making moves that would undoubtedly bring her points. She is also great at leading her team members to make sure they clear the dungeon. However, it seems to him that she can pass the midterm anyway, and it's only a matter of time before she gets to the top. But if it hadn't been for Kim Joo-hyuk during the introduction ceremony, her talent definitely wouldn't have been so tarnished. Even thinking about that, Lee Sang-kol immediately thought about our hero, so he immediately decided to check how he was doing. But when he put his name, he could not find him. He could not even understand how it is possible that the search engine could not find information about one of the students that had entered the dungeon. He was even a little surprised because he thought that maybe our hero had passed it. His thoughts about it made him anxious, but when he had checked the list of passes, he saw the name of our hero. Lee Sang-kol was very shocked, because how could it be that someone had cleared the dungeon even without a group? Looking at the time our hero had cleared the dungeon, he couldn't expect that, because no matter how impressive our hero was, he had attended the introductory ceremony. However, this is not something that a 17-year-old high school student can do. Lee Sang-kol even decided to watch the tape of our hero going through the dungeon. As soon as he turned on the tape, we could see that our hero was just standing there even while a bunch of monsters were running at him. He had a little stretch in the shoulders, but immediately ran into the monsters with a smile on his face. Many orcs and goblins scattered at once, and our hero had a lot of fun, because he did not have so much fun as to cut stone goblins. When he had finished with goblins, our hero noticed orcs that wanted to kill him with their clubs. But our hero didn't care much, because the only thing he cared about was to cut more and more. All his greed for killing was watched by many teachers, because they were also very shocked by the strength of our hero. The teacher watched as our hero approached the strongest monster that had been modeled especially for the midterm exam. They had even noticed that this golem would be very difficult, because they had specially improved its characteristics to make it fit the required number of 8 people. The golem wanted to attack our hero, but our hero liked it very much. After all, now he is up against a serious opponent. But the golem was surprised because our hero was able to counter it with a single blow, which immediately took away the golem's head. Lee Sang-kol already thought that this year the first place in the midterm exam will go to our hero. We saw many students leave the room now. The exam was over. But there were disputes in the teacher's room, because many of them still did not understand how our hero came to be in the first place. The teacher immediately went to Lee Sang-kol and told him that the results had already been published, but everybody understood that they had gotten unexpected results. Lee Sang-kol, even he, thought that many people could not expect that. Everybody knew that anybody would get first place, but not him. But Lee Sang-kol thought that when our hero would grow up and enter the industry, only because of him could Korea regain the title of the One. The teacher was immediately amazed, because isn't this title given to the strongest contract in the world? However, Lee Sang-kol said that there had been no geniuses for a long time, and even the fact that Choi Ah-rin was such a surprise could not give them any peace of mind. Everyone knew that the timing of our hero and that girl was unbelievable. Lee Sang-kal doesn't even know why the same girl had to face the dungeon alone. It took her very little time to face it, even though she suffered a lot herself. The master knew that she was a very quiet and hard-working person, but he would never have thought that she was one of those people who could clear the dungeon alone. The teacher even thought that if this exam had been centered on teamwork, then Yoo So-young would have definitely scored higher. However, the fact that our hero and Choi Arin were able to get the highest marks because he was focused on their contributions just couldn't give him peace, because he definitely wouldn't recommend their way of passing to other students. He knew that what the first two places had done simply could not be repeated by the others. The teacher who was holding the scoreboard thought only that he could already see her abilities when he was still the leader of the Choi Jin Guild. She even then had the aura of a model student who only practiced fencing, but he also could not believe that she was just there to go alone into such a dungeon. He asked himself if it could not all have happened just because of our hero, but he decided not to convince himself of that because he needed only rest to get his thoughts together. The next day came. Many people went to see the results, where in first place was our hero along with Choi Arin. It made the two students very angry, and they immediately wanted to go to Korea. They arrived in Seoul and went to a place where an acquaintance was sitting. They said he was their brother. He was eating his dinner, but at a moment he asked his brother who he should take care of. The white-haired man answered at once that he was nothing, just a brainless freshman. But the reason why the white-haired guy wants his brother's help is because someone insulted him with his humble origins. The guy asked, through a mouthful of food, if he could kill him, but the white-haired man only replied that he didn't care what his brother did to him. But his brother at this time pointed to the girl behind him, saying that this time he would need a little more effort and preparation, because it was because of that woman that he had had problems with Felix's family. She even thought that most likely it was because there were too few people in their family. He simply could not kill. But still, continuing to eat, he said that the people in Valhalla are very different, because no matter how often he does it, it is difficult for him to get there and make a mess. The white-haired man understood everything, so he said that he would do everything possible to prepare the ground for his brother. The brother was very pleased, so he immediately asked to prepare a great reward. It has been a week, and our hero is somewhere in the street. He walks down the street with his permission slip to go outside. His assistant also asked him if he had been out recently. Our hero said that he had, but that he needed to go out again. The assistant even asked our hero if it was true that he had been allowed to go out one more time, simply because he had taken the test much earlier than everyone else. Our hero replied that it was true, because he could not miss such an opportunity. He must find all his notes. The assistant asked him where he was going, but he went to Suwon. Our hero walked through the woods and thought that what he was looking for was exactly where he was, but he was stopped by his noble family brother. But before we see the sequel, we go to the market, to Area 7. In a tall building, looking out the window stands a man in a mask. He sees that the Constellation is asking him when the ring will arrive. He answers that it is already on its way, as he only needs to go through the normal procedures before it arrives through the portal. But at this point, the messages begin to look strange. It began to send the same notifications over and over again, which said that the Constellation thought that he had gone crazy. The man thinks that he investigated whether his artifact, an artifact of the Age of Destruction, at the request of the former Black Cat. But even this is the first time he's seen such a reaction. Looking at his desk, he was distracted, because his ring had already arrived there. He thought about what he would give to them if they would be quieter. He opened the box and took the ring, which had a very scary aura about it. He picked it up and told Mr. Constellation that they had finally got it. But at this, Mr. the Constellation began to repeat the same message, which said only that this is what they were looking for. We are again transported to the forest, where our hero is face to face with the very same brother. He can't understand who is standing in front of him, but he smiles and asks, does he really need to know? Our hero immediately realized that the strange man wanted something from him, so he asked what he wanted. He says that if he did not want him, he would not have looked for him on that desolate mountain. Our hero immediately realized that this strange man wanted to get rid of him. The killer said, or rather, he praised our hero's intuition, but our hero said that it was not even his intuition, because most probably anyone would have understood it just by seeing the way the killer looked. He even said that he had seen the killer a few days ago. The killer did not like it, because for someone who occupies the first place in Valhalla, our hero seemed to him like a stupid guy. He clenched his fists and attacked our hero, saying that he hoped our hero would not disappoint him. The assassin wanted to attack our hero, but our hero avoided the blow as he always does. So the only thing that was damaged was a tree standing next to our hero. The killer does not want to believe that it was not just luck, but real talent. So he said that our hero was just lucky that he had ducked, because if he hadn't done that, he would have been finished with our hero. Our hero said that there was not a shred of luck in that, because our hero had only ducked because the killer was too slow for him. Our hero spoke so confidently, but he understood that his enemy was strong enough to do this to a tree despite everything. He even realized that his opponent is comparable to Senyuk, and in fact may even be stronger. Our hero understood that even for him it was still dangerous to stop the blow with such a fragile body, so the only thing that came to his mind was to run away into the woods. The killer also liked it because it was the only solution for a man in the same position as our hero. He even gave advice to our hero, saying that if he had been caught, he would surely have been beaten up. But the killer allows this possibility because he is going to catch our hero. Our hero immediately stopped and also instantly turned around with his fist, which was already put to the face of his enemy. He asked the killer with a smile on his face, did he have no brains at all? But the killer wondered how he had gotten so close. He did not even notice how our hero's fist was right in front of his eyes. At that moment, the killer was very far away and could only see our hero standing over him, trying to kill him with a light kick. Our hero stood over him and asked him to look at the whole situation, because he had survived only by luck. The killer did not like that, so he asked our hero what he had done to make that happen. But our hero kept laughing, saying that he had simply won first place in Valhalla. The killer was immediately angry, because he did not understand what a man had to take to become as strong as our hero. Right before his eyes began to fly his old memories that were about his childhood, his family, and Wendrick. He remembers that everyone used his talent to enhance his status, even if only slightly, and that his talent itself lies in his innate penchant for elixirs. The killer could drink the love elixir that was given to him as a child. His parents gave him elixirs worth hundreds of millions of dollars a bottle. At 16, he could become more powerful than any adult. His parents wanted to use him to gain recognition in his family, but the killer did not want to be under their control all his life. He killed them because he had overwhelming power. He asked himself, why should he care about recognition in his family if he had such a body? And because he was a pain in the ass, he was kicked out of the family. But he didn't care about that, because in this dark world, most problems are solved with money, so he became braver just because he was kicked out of his family. But when he was approached by Rockdill with a request, he offered him money. But his interest in our hero was much greater, so that only because of him, who won first place in entrance exams to Valhalla. He had even heard that our hero was just crazy, so he was incredibly curious about how much fun it would be to play with our hero. But in spite of all this, he just couldn't figure out who our hero was. The killer immediately began to question our hero. What drugs did he take that made him so strong? Our hero didn't even think that because of his strength he could take some ordinary elixirs. Our hero laughed at once when he heard about the drugs, which made the killer very tense. Our hero asked the killer, through his laughter, if the drugs were his strength. But the killer didn't deny it, but he said that our hero couldn't become so strong without using drugs. But our hero was very cheerful at that moment, so he just said that he had become that way only through training. Our hero even let himself slap him a little, saying that he wanted to compare the killer with Senyuk, but now he didn't even want to compare some drug-addicted killer with such a muscular guy. The killer was very angry. He wanted to kill our hero no matter what it cost him. He started to take out his weapon, which he was not allowed to use in the territory where he and our hero were. When our hero took out his sword, he was able to see the incredible power that emanated from the dagger. Killer also felt all the powers that penetrated directly into him through the dagger. He stood in front of our hero and already wanted to threaten him, but our hero didn't give him such a chance. He just attacked him. He laughed, because he did not understand why people who attack him say so much before their surprise attack. As soon as the killer flew into the tree and really hit his hit on it, our hero struck him again. The killer was already begging our hero to stop, but our hero by the hair answered calmly that the killer could not die yet, because our hero wanted to let him go if he was just picking a quarrel, but he wanted to kill him anyway. Our hero said that he wanted to talk to him about something, but that the first thing he wanted to do was to beat him up. We are in a dormitory, Rocktel's room. He is very pleased because he thinks that his good-for-nothing brother should have taken care of our hero by now, considering his complicated character. He even thought that he will have to take away our hero's body already, and he felt relieved. He asked the girl who was standing behind him to prepare the car, but he was interrupted by the fact that Dessert had called him on the telephone. But when he listened, he heard that his brother was being beaten. He was very scared, but our hero started to say that Rocktel must have guessed what was going on because of the way his jaw was dropped in astonishment. Our hero continued by saying that his brother could not talk right now, but he told him that if he would die in a battle with our hero, he would put some candles for him. Our hero said that he would say goodbye, but he asked Rocktel to wait for him on his visit. Rocktel even hung up on him because of this news. Our hero thought that he was being rude, but looking at Dessert, who was unconscious, he did not know what to do with him. We see Dessert's room again, where he is sitting very tense. Even when Yuria brought him his tea, he answered very girlishly. He asked him to make it and not to distract him in any way. When Yuria left, Rocktel became very tense because he would never have thought that Dessert could lose to our hero. He was even worried that our hero now knew who was behind the attempts on our hero's life. He understood that if things continued like that, the news would surely reach the Wendrick family. But after cooling down his head, he realized that our hero was an orphan, so he shouldn't have parents. He realized that he could get rid of him because he could not even get to him. Our hero was already walking through the forest, and from what Barthes had said, we understand that our hero had just left the poor killer there. Our hero explained that he did not want to do anything for the time being, but that he would report him when he needed to. Barthes still could not understand such a decision, so he asked to make it clearer to him our hero did not kill the killer, because it would have been easier for him to do that than to just leave. Our hero said that he would have done that if he was still in his old world, but he would certainly be in trouble now. Barthes understood his master's thoughts, but he had something he wanted to tell our hero. He was worried that the killer was using a very strange type of magic, which was familiar to Barthes. Our hero was surprised, but Barthes said that he could identify the type of magic, but the flow he felt was too short. But Barthes wondered if our hero had felt anything strange. Our hero said that he had felt many strange things before, so he did not see anything unusual. But Barthes was allowed to play a little. He said that our hero cannot understand human magic at all, but he forgives him, because it is a more subtle skill than you might think. Our hero is enraged by this, but Barthes still concludes that this blade has a hidden side. Our hero is also satisfied with this theory. We see his memories when our hero went to interrogate the killer, but our hero realized that there was no point in questioning him, because he had unhinged his jaw. He decided to put it back and asked who had sent the killer to kill him. The killer kept silent, but our hero touched his hand, and as if hinting that he could break his fingers, he told him that he did not set his jaw back to keep him quiet. The killer did not understand, so our hero had to break some fingers. Our hero repeated his question, this time noticing for sure that the killer had more fingers. The killer immediately cracked, saying that it was Rocktel Ventrick. Our hero remembered that he had been the last one to hit on him. All this information was immediately accepted by our hero, but one thing he still could not understand. Who was the killer after all? After all, he did not even look like a student of Valhalla. The killer, in his turn, said that our hero would not like what he heard. But our hero was persistent, because the condition that if the killer would say nothing, his fingers would be broken was truly iron. The killer immediately realized his mistake, so he introduced himself and said that he was of the first kind. He himself takes on many assignments as a mercenary. Our hero realized that he had heard something similar before, so he asked if it was fun to be a mercenary, because he looked more like a hooligan who just got paid. The killer said that if he considered everyone a scum, he must be a very lucky guy. He also added that the constellation that the first kinds worshipped was the hidden side of the blade. That meant that he too was connected to that hidden side, and if he had had a little more time to prepare, he could have beaten our hero. Our hero had been tipsy after hearing all this, but he did not like the fact that the killer was talking too much, so he went up to him and put his hands to his mouth. He said that he would not have to say anything more. and after a moment he decided to shut his enemy's mouth for a long time. Our hero had finished his business, so he went on. All the while he was looking at the information about the clan the killer was a member of. He realized that as expected his clan was very evil, but our hero was upset and annoyed that he could not find any notes, and the nasty man named Rockdell was still causing problems to our hero. Our hero wonders how to get rid of him, but our hero understood that in his time there is such a thing as telephones and other ways. So the first thing he decided to do was to record his confession so that our hero would have at least some proof. He thinks, where should he upload them? But only his old acquaintance comes to mind. She was very happy that our hero had called, and she had already thought that he wanted to be her assistant. However, our hero immediately upset her, saying that he was only looking for acquaintances who worked in a news agency. After a short time, the news had already published that a student at one of Valhalla's academies had been attacked, but had managed to fight back. As you might expect, it was our hero, but he decided to get rid of his name in order to also get rid of unnecessary reporters. Many resource channels started to publish this information absolutely everywhere. Even the Ventric family was affected and tried their best to make an official statement, but it probably did not work out properly. The comments just blew up because from them it was possible to say that the Ventric family and their offspring are disliked by many people. Our hero was looking at all this and he liked it because there was no such thing in his time. He even called it modern warfare. Barche also noticed that our hero too easily adapted to the new and modern culture. Our hero said with a smile on his face that even though it was not so easy for him after his reincarnation, he could concentrate and get used to it just by reading the news. After all, it was only thanks to them that he was what Barche saw him as now. But one thing he didn't like, and Barche had noticed it, he asked what was wrong. Our hero answered that he didn't like that he just wanted to set up a Rotch deal, but all the blame fell on the Ventri family. Our hero even thinks that it was only because he was introduced to an important figure in the news. At one point, an announcement from the Ventric family began on his phone. The woman went to the microphone and apologized to our hero, but immediately began to talk about the whole situation, or rather, what the family thought about it. She said that the attack was the work of Dessert, who had been banished from the family long ago, but they noticed that in the confession of Dessert, which was presented to our Hemery, it was Rockdal Ventric who had given the order. So it could not be safely ascertained whether what Dessert had said at that moment in danger was true or not. Consequently, the Ventric family believed that they had no part in the incident, even though Dessert had been expelled from the clan. However, the head of Ventric, who is a woman, is ready to apologize personally to our hero. She even touched Rocktal himself, who goes to the academy at the same time, so his involvement is not excluded either. The only thing they could do was to call him home to clear it up. She clarified, saying that it would be seriously planned, so no one should worry. Many paparazzi had started to ask questions, but there was no answer to any of them. Rockdal himself watched the whole situation with great horror, but at that moment, he got a phone call from his father, who ordered him to go back to England. Rockdal was very angry, but there was nothing he could do about it. The next day, the video of Dessert's confession got so viral that almost everyone at the academy knew about it. In his confession, he said that after all, the Ventric family had nothing to do with it. Our hero, watching this video on his own, was very surprised, because he could not even think that such a man as Dessert can suppress his pride. Our hero was more and more accepting of the fact that the Ventric family disgusted him, but he wondered if what the head of their clan had said was true, for he would be a little embarrassed that they would come to him with an apology. Our hero was walking down the corridor after his class, but he noticed the teacher's office and wondered if he should go out. We see that our hero is sitting in a cafe with a very unhappy woman who is very unhappy. Apparently, she again tried to persuade our hero to become her assistant. She wondered why our hero had called her, as he had distracted her from her very important work. She got up from the table and asked if it could be a date, but our hero made it clear with his cold answer that it certainly could not be a date. Although he said so, the girl could not understand why our hero spoke to her so formally, as they had been communicating for a long time. But our hero answered simply, saying that they had been doing it all the time. But our hero was tired of sitting like that, so he proceeded to explain why he had called that very girl. First of all, he would like to thank her for such a useful acquaintance with the reporter, so that he would give her a lot of information about how to fight monsters. The girl was very pleased, but our hero had a condition. He said that if he would help her, he would ask to be let out of the academy this weekend. The girl immediately agreed because if he would be her helper, she would allow him to leave the academy every day. Events moved to the North Pacific. There is a prisoner transporter where Desir is sitting. He was very angry because he never would have thought that he would be put on the ship and treated like cargo. He wondered if he was being transferred to the prison tower. A prison tower is a prison in the middle of the North Pacific. Its history is very mysterious and enigmatic, but everyone knows that the S-class Constellation created this refuge of loss. It is this prison that turns all contractors into ordinary people. But Desir thought that's all he needed so that Rockdell could stay in the Ventric family, and if he did that, his sentence could be reduced to 5 years. Otherwise, it could have been a lot worse, but 5 years was nothing. Someone in the shadows told Desir that he had an ugly face, but Desir could not understand where the sound was coming from. He asked who it was, but there was no answer, only a swing of the blade, which immediately cut Desir's throat. At that moment, the man said that the first kind did not need people like him. Desir immediately fell to the ground, but the image immediately disappeared. Next events take place in the Ventric family mansion, where Rockdell himself and his father went. The head asked Rockdell what he was going to do. He immediately became nervous and had no better idea than to say that he would simply apologize. The head, of course, did not like this, so she asked him why and for what reason he had committed this act. He mumbled that he wanted to punish our hero, but the leader was furious because that was not the explanation she wanted. She also said that if he had acted on his own because he thought that he had offended the honor of the Ventrics, but that in fact he had only done so out of pride. She went to him and asked what they would have to do with him, for it was only because of his pride that the honor of the Ventrics had been desecrated. She had already begun to press, but Rockdell fell at her feet, saying that he would do anything to restore their family honor. But the head did not know what he was talking about, because the only way to cleanse the honor of the family was simply to leave the church. Rockdell's father asked if that would be too harsh, but the head found a very brief answer to that question. She asked if the father then wanted to be expelled from their clan, but the chapter had other things on her mind at this moment. All she could think of was, wouldn't it have been better to just kill the two of them at that moment? But the problem was that it would be known that Rockdell was the man who had ordered Desir to kill our hero. She was very tense, but still she told Rockdell that she would not exclude him, but that it was necessary to make sure that he would not open his mouth in Valhalla. But she does not exclude the fact that she can do so, because she will have to think it over after her talk with our hero. Rockdell bowed at her feet with very great thanks, but she simply asked him to leave her room. As father and son were leaving in the corridor, the father asked him once again to lead his son quietly, but Rockdell himself understood his fate, because he will be disowned sooner or later, because media is watching them very attentively now. However, when everything settles down, he will do everything that no one can expect for sure. Rockdell wants to finish everything he has wished for in the time he has been given. He asks his father for help, but he asks him to stay in the shadows. A few days later, in the same academy, our hero is sitting in the interrogation room with his teacher. He says that Rockdell will be here any minute because he wants to apologize to our hero. Our hero says that there is no point because even on the statement she said that nobody from their family was involved. But at that moment, our hero is told that it was her wish, so that's the way it has to be. Our hero thinks that the Ventric family just wants to avoid punishing Rockdell, and the meeting is only for that. Our hero is angry about the whole situation, but there is nothing he can do about it. The teacher says that everyone is upset by this situation. The teachers cannot even believe that they are really trying to protect the reputation of their family, just downplaying the confession recorded by our hero, and in any case they are busy trying to hide the truth. Teachers even understand that they need to exclude Rockdell. But not so long time ago, Ventric family donated a very big sum of money to their academy, and they just cannot believe that most of the money comes to their academy from big families. So our hero is given to understand that only this time the academy is likely to close its eyes. Our hero doesn't like it, but he agrees to talk to the head of the family. The teacher was very surprised because he didn't expect such an ordinary reaction from our hero. At that moment there was a knock at the door, so the teacher made it clear that it was the head who had come. He left our hero alone. The head of the Ventric family entered the room and greeted our hero. They stood silent for a long time, but the head still decided to say that it was their fault that our hero was attacked, so she apologized profusely. Our hero confirmed that. However, the chapter went on to say that our hero was also mocked by Rockdell at school. Our hero didn't care, because it was a one-time thing, and the family said that they weren't even involved in that situation. The head said that there was one catch, which was that no media resource supported them. Our hero thought that, of course, that should be the case. However, he did not understand what the chapter wanted from him. The president said, after thinking it over, that to make this misunderstanding disappear, she wants our hero to dispel all doubts. But our hero said he would not. The chief had a trump card to that effect. She said that if our hero would help them just once, he could count on the full support of his family, and of the chief in particular. She also said that she would recommend him to their sponsors, and that she would continue to support him even after his graduation. She would even help him in Korea. Our hero was quiet for a while, but he made a very satisfied face. He said that if they were willing to resort to such measures, it meant that they were in deep shit. The leader didn't like it very much, but our hero explained his words, saying that he was very angry because their family wanted to make it look as if nothing had happened at all. Our hero asked, so why should he do that? He doesn't even want a reward. All he wants is for them to live with the shame they got because of Rockdell. At that moment, the head was very angry, as if she wanted to kill our hero. She did not understand how a man like our hero could treat her like that. Our hero wanted to do that because the head had finally shown his true intentions. She said that she had come all the way here just to make a deal with him for his own convenience. She gave our hero a chance, but shouldn't she kill him now? Our hero was expecting this, and he's in a better position than the head. The head did not understand what our hero was talking about and why he was so calm. But our hero reminds them that their family has nothing against him. In fact, even now they wanted to pay a huge sum of money just for him to lie further. But now they just want to kill him. All these words that were on the pride of the head hit her in the head. She became incredibly aggressive. But our hero continued to make her angry, saying that even if she wanted to attack him, she simply could not kill him. The head realized that too, so the only thing she did was to ask her to remember what our hero did today, because someday he will regret what he did today. Our hero is having a lot of fun, because now the head can only open his mouth, but it seems to Barche that he has done all this for nothing. But our hero doesn't think so, because he thinks that he has done everything right. The only type of people that our hero hates are people who like to be worshipped, and what's more, he knows what they can do to someone they have a grudge against. He even hates Barche, which made him wonder. Our hero had already left the office, and all he could think about was just to work out in the training room. When he came out of the building, he saw Chai Aaron with someone. He did not know who it was, but he was very curious. We see that this is not just some unknown person to Chai Aaron, but the real elder son of the family. He tells her that no matter how hard she trains, she won't win. So if she wants to be part of the family, he asks her to take the test this weekend. He even promises her that they will not make fun of her. Chai Aaron says she doesn't agree, which surprises her brother. He decides to ask her one more time, but Chai Aaron is still standing her ground. She is very foggy and says that he is the only one who can't get into the subject. She called her brother names, which came as a shock to him, but our hero also came over. He came over and called her brother by the same term. He said, "You can't stop someone who is doing their best." Her brother asked who our hero was and why did he dare interfere with him and tell him what to do. Our hero is nervous enough as it is, and so is this guy. He wonders why there are so many jerks out there today who want to seem like they're respectable. But our hero doesn't care if he's the president or someone higher up, but no one is allowed to break into their school and demand something from the student. So if the guy's finished, he asks him to just get lost. Our hero asked Chai Aaron if her brother should leave or what else. Chai Aaron immediately hesitated but did not answer. Her brother did not like the situation but said he would see her during the test. When her brother left, Chai Aaron thanked our hero. Our hero said that if it's all over, we can go and practice. However, she began to say that you should not say such things to someone if you have not finished the dialogue. Our hero realized at that moment that she was much more unbearable than one could have imagined. However, our hero decided that now was the right time to go train, so they immediately went to the gym. Our hero says that if she is absent next week, they will train much harder today. It's been a few days since the training, but our hero is still wandering in the woods trying to find any clues. Barche wonders if he went there again just to find his notes. Our hero says he has, but that surprises Barche because he has found so many relics and seal stones. Our hero says that Bars is right, but he just wants to know how many records remain. He is sure that there is something very interesting in them. Barche wants to know what our hero means by something interesting. Our hero says that there must be something that our hero has forgotten from his life when he was a different person. After all, if he had found Barche 300 years ago, he surely would not have killed him. We see that while our hero is running through the woods in search of his artifacts of the past, Chai Erin, or rather her family, is conducting a test among them. We see that the head of the guild has already begun the selection process. He also reminds everyone that all those who pass the test will be officially recognized as heir to the family, and all those who fail the test will be expelled from the clan. He asked if everyone had prepared, to which he received an affirmative answer. He immediately gave a task, which was to find a double blade hidden in the mountains so that the person who finds and brings it to him will be recognized as the winner. It doesn't matter to the head how they get it, but killing each other is forbidden. Chai Erin immediately rushed forward after saying that, but his brother wasn't so worried because he thought that when his sister found it, he would simply take it away. We see that when he was still at school, after talking to his sister, someone called his phone. A man asks what is with the blade, but his brother answers that it will take a little longer than expected. But the man with the white beard is not happy because this is the second time his brother has said so. He asks if they will keep their promise if he brings it to them, but they are fully prepared to do so. So they ask him to concentrate on the task at hand, which he is about to do. We are again transported to Chai Erin, who is trying her best to use all of her skills. She feels the currents of magic that lead her to her sword. At one point, her brother stands in front of her and asks if she is halfway there. She has learned how to feel magic currents, so who taught her that? We understand that the last training of our hero in her was not in vain, because he had just taught her such a skill. He said that if she could create lightning, then she would be able to use it. But Chai Erin didn't understand why she needed it. Our hero was surprised because he didn't even think that such a skill is not taught in her family. But still, he went on to say that it is a useful skill, because she can collect magic in one place. He began to tell her how to use it, telling her to just relax and try to let the currents flow through her, starting with her fingertips, ending on her hair, where the magic should also pass through. As she worked the magic through herself, she had to try to feel the magic in the air. While Chai Erin was doing all this, she could see the silhouette of our hero even with her eyes closed. When she saw such a picture, and was too overdoing it, she began to breathe heavily. Our hero noticed and asked if she saw anything. She answered that she could see an aura around our hero. Our hero explained that this is what magic looks like, which flows out of their body a little, and this skill is the least that can be taught. He also advised her to use it more, because the more you use it, the more you can see. She even said that she would be able to find magic things with it, and that if she learned it well, she would be able to distinguish silhouettes at all. He could have taught her himself, but he left it to her. Chai Erin was so happy that she blushed. We return to the test, where her brother realizes that it was the shameless one from school. He is even surprised that he was able to teach her something, even though he looks very foolish. But Chai Erin did not like that, and became angry and said he was stronger than her brother. She asked why he had come, but her brother let her know that he had come here to fight. He drew his sword and went for Chai Erin, but she was able to start fighting him back, just kicking him aside. He did not understand how his sister had become so strong, and how she had such an aura. Our hero at the same time stood in the woods and tried to feel some of his notes, but he somehow could not find them. After a short period of time, he felt that something was near him, but it was not his artifact, but the battle of Chai Erin and her brother. Chai Erin in turn manages to push her brother away, but so that his hands are taken away from her blows. He says that his sister has become much stronger. Disobeying his brother, Chai Erin demanded to surrender and give her the opportunity to take this sword. Her brother did not like it, and said that such children as she simply does not deserve such a reward. He went to fight her, but she again pushed him away. She understood how to resist him, because she used all her skills during training with our hero. She could hit him with the handle so that he even passed out. She even thought that she had struck too good a blow, judging by the result, so she immediately went in search of the blade. But she heard a voice behind her. It was her brother, covered in a dark aura. He said that she could not win because she has no gifts like him, and even his own contract. He also said that he received the blow simply because he was not prepared. Chai-Erin noticed that the aura around her brother was very angry, but her brother immediately began to attack her, letting her know that it was because he was evil. Chai-Erin was about to retaliate as she had done before, but her brother was much faster than before, so she immediately flew aside. She fell on the ground, and her brother stood over her laughing. "Won't his sister get up?" Chai-Erin tried to get up but noticed that she had a wound on her stomach. Her brother said she should not have stood up, he had warned her, and if she got up she would die. Chai-Erin asked him if it could not be that he was like this just because he had a contract. He answered immediately that he had received an offer from one of the heads of the guilds, so that now he was on the side of those fanatics. She knew that they were the world's third most powerful and dangerous guild. Chai-Erin asks his brother if the privileges they provide are much better than the privileges life provides him, but he finds his brother ridiculous for saying that he has power and strength, and that he can only gain that from them. He also said that all the time he was in their clan from the age of 12, he just didn't live, he was just a pawn, because everyone called him only the eldest son. That was the reason why he had chosen freedom and the fanatics instead of his own clan, where his father ruled him. He said that one day he met a man from there and he asked him to join them. It was only through them that he could close all the problems in his heart. He had even rather understood who he was. Chai-Erin did not understand what her brother was talking about, but her brother immediately began to look different and said that his problem was that he liked to break people. He cannot join in without that blade they are looking for. So Chai-Erin's brother said that if he had given up much earlier, there would have been no reason to start the second test, and he would have been awarded the blade immediately. My sister doesn't understand what the second time means. He said that at the time Chai-Erin had an older sister who also participated. Chai-Erin couldn't understand how that could be. Wasn't she missing? But her brother answered that he couldn't help himself, so he killed her before they found the blade. But the problem was that he couldn't go on looking for it, because he was very wounded. Her brother said that at one point her father wanted to save her older sister, and told everyone that she was missing. What if Chai-Erin wanted to find her? There would be nothing to find. But he did mention the moment when her mother saw her face and immediately passed away, just because Ye-Erin reminded her of her ugly daughter. But his brother did not care much, because now he knew where the sword was. So he just asked her to say hello to her sister. He was about to swing the sword to cut off the head of his sister, but our hero was always there. He stopped her brother's sword with his scabbard. Everyone was surprised to see him. Our hero, with his serious look, directed his gaze to Chai-Erin's brother and asked what he was doing. He answered that it was their business in the family, but our hero did not like that answer. He said they should not do that they should not just put a blade to their sister's neck. Chai-Erin looks at this and cannot come to her senses. She asked him why he had come to them. Our hero thought that he had only come for the sake of it, because he had come by chance. He said that he just had business in that direction. He told her to stay behind and clean up her wound. She smiled. She liked such care. But her brother could not calm down. He asked if our hero had been insulting him when they were in the academy. But he did not say anything. He went towards our hero with a sword. But our hero dodged the blow with a nifty move. Our hero answered that he should not aim at someone who was standing still. Our hero hit him with his knife so that he fell to the ground. He hit brother Chai-Erin again, so that the ground shook beneath him. He took off his hood and asked Chai-Erin if he was all right. But at that moment, a dark aura began to gather around his brother. He did not like the fact that our hero just hit him. He went for another attack, but even with his own magic, our hero could not resist. But brother Chai-Erin could not even believe that a 17-year-old student could have such power. Still, the brother decided that now was the time to use his trump card up his sleeve. He decided to bite off the evil crystal. All people in the radius noticed that the ground below them began to shake. They even thought that it was an earthquake. But when they looked into the woods, they saw that someone was using a magic sword. The father of the family realized that his power was so great that even ordinary people could see the auras. The head of the family decided to send it to that part, because that is where the blade is to be tested. Our hero stood in front of his brother, and he didn't care, because all he was doing was just strengthening himself with magic. But Bart was sure that he had become incredibly strong, because it was not a simple enhancement but an extra enhancement. He said that it was a small part of the power that he had gained after the contract. At that moment, a dragon appeared behind his brother and began to use his abilities. But when he used his ability to see through nature, he saw that our hero was incredibly strong. He can't figure out who's standing in front of him. He checks several times to see if what is in front of him is true, but when he is sure, he realizes that even he is afraid of our hero. At this point, he simply walks away and then disappears, taking Choi Eran's brother's strength away. So at this point, our hero just takes him with his scabbard and says that now they will see who kills who.
We see a man, the leader of the devotees, the Dragon King, hand nibble, the screen shows. The dragon who kills everyone says, "Because of you I'm in more trouble." The dragon who kills everyone screams, "Do you want to disappear from this mortal world?" The man apologized and asked for forgiveness, putting his head on the floor and folding his hands behind his back, in front of a screen that read that the dragon that kills everyone warns him not to spread artificial religions in the future. The man agrees in fear and panic and says that he has realized everything, but on the screen the dragon that kills everything tells him to behave. The man raised his head and didn't understand what was going on. What was it that made Constellations so furious? Artificial religion means that the brat he put up with the Choijin family did something wrong. The man got to his feet. What the hell was he doing? Sir Constellation, can he tell what went wrong? The man was talking to him. He had to find out what was going on and was very confident. Meanwhile, in the Valhalla dorm, in Kim Joo-hyuk's room, the guy returned home. He went into the room, took off his backpack and took out a book. He finally got to the divine arts. Yes, that's the main reason why he was looking for those hiding places. It's a breathing technique that can raise a person's magic power to a very high level. But is there any difference between the breathing technique he used before reincarnation? The technique that he used before was trash when he was a non-entity. He just bought it in the market, mastered it until the very end. Furthermore, when he found this divine art 300 years ago, he couldn't change his breathing technique because it was already rooted in his body. The guy was sitting and reading a book. When he fought with Barche, he was badly injured. Because of his poor breathing technique, he ran out of magic power, but he can start all over again with this new body. The hero's face has changed. He will stop training his body for a while, as he must first learn the divine art closed. He book, by the way, that situation earlier, someone told him that he left this injured girl with that crazy guy. The hero pondered and heard in this, he heard someone approaching, so he left them, they will deal with it themselves. Back then, on the battlefield, he killed that man with his sword, but he couldn't kill him right. He was also a participant in another incident in Valhalla, so if he was a participant in another one, he would be in trouble. There were some tiny traces of magic left in that injured beloved boy. He would definitely survive. When he asked the girl if she could get up, you said yes. At the moment when he gave her his hand, he heard someone's footsteps. Maybe the Choi Eran family is already on their way after seeing the sword magic, making it harder to find the hidden places. He told her that her family was coming here, so let her just sit and wait. He had something to do in this place, so he leaves. She agreed, and he asked me to tell them that she was the one who knocked out that idiot. The hero put in too much effort, so he will lose consciousness. He said goodbye to the girl. She said goodbye to the meeting at the academy. Later, he laid down on the bed in his room. In any case, once he mastered the divine arts, he would return the remaining storage stones. Because the last time he absorbed their magic power, he couldn't absorb all of it due to his low magic ability, meaning that storage stones store magic power, not things, so he should rest. Meanwhile, at the Choijin family home, people were sitting at a table, and a man said that thanks to the press who came to film their family's selection test, the articles appeared immediately. Then he asked if everyone was able to read them. Most of them yes. Utter chaos. The man could not believe that there was a villain in the family. In addition, the association published an official letter and he received a statement from them when something like this happened in the Ventric family. It had nothing to do with the family, so they just kept quiet, but this approach definitely won't work anymore. Choi Jainon was handed over to the police. The man asked another attendee how Choi Eran was doing. She replied that they had sent her to their family's hospital for treatment early in the morning, but the bleeding stopped, her organs were not damaged, so there should not have been any serious operations. This calmed the man down. Speaking of which, another one continued, this lady has several articles that mention a genius who defeated the members of the Transmitted Ones while being a mere student. The academy, following in the footsteps of Kim Joo-hyuk, Choi Eran destroyed a member of the Transmitted Ones. This is the era of geniuses. There are similar articles. The girl went against her own family. Are there any articles about this? The man asked. Isn't it a relief? This qualifying test ended in-house, but the next head of the family is approved. So what kind of articles will help her firmly establish herself as the successor? It's good that she has a legitimate chance of success, but defeating Jainon alone is very strange. When the man found her, her brother was lying unconscious. He attacked her with sinister magic, the girl said, so she knocked him out. Of course he noticed it. but there was a lot of magic power above the mountains. How did she manage to defeat him? Kim Joo-hyuk taught her. She replied, "This guy openly sent a guide to the guilds." When the hero came to the academy in class, he saw that girl, although he thought that she should have been hospitalized, but it seems that everything is fine with her. He sat down at his desk, then she turned to him and waved. The guys behind the hero thought it was them, but his friend told him not to dream, it would never happen. The guy was thinking about how he learned to use magic with the help of a book in his room when this girl wrote to him. She did not think that she would be able to attend training for a while. The doctor forbade her to take part in any physical activity. Considering how badly she was bleeding, which is to be expected, she's going to be doing her own thing for the next few days, so the hero can do whatever he wants. Then the girl began to send a lot of rabbit stickers. This angered the guy. Let her send one message at a time. Barche had told him that there was something he should know about. The black magic they encountered seemed familiar to him, but he didn't remember anything about it. The thing is, he doesn't want to think about it. It feels like something is blocking his memories. What's stopping him? Whether it's because of that guy he mentioned last time, it's quite possible. He's not entirely sure. But if he could meet the second condition, maybe it would help him overcome this mental block, but that's just a theory. Near the Great Forest of Valhalla, Maid Guy Rona's home, the second condition is the Eye of the Great Forest. He thought it was just an area used for assessment of academic performance, but the final practical exam is also taking place here. And apparently the people with the lowest combined scores for midterm and final exams will be excluded. So does this mean that all he can do is wait for the final exam? What a waste of time. The guy clutched his head, but he still needed a little time to get used to it, and then he would go to search for the Eye of the Great Forest. A man came into the classroom and told everyone to take their seats. Before he starts the lesson, he needs to make a brief announcement. Do you know all the competitions between the academies that will take place next month? Barche said that he talked about this after the midterm exam. When the guy didn't understand what was being said, the school is thinking about choosing its participants. They plan to choose the best students based on the results of the midterm exams. The teacher called the hero to follow him to the office. He was shocked by what he heard, as it was he in the office. They did not discuss that the man seems that they meet quite often here. Obviously, it's because they keep calling him here. It's true, and the guy didn't listen to his participation in the competition between the academies and immediately refused, but the man didn't even get to the most important part. Then the hero asked what kind of competition it was in general. The man is sure that he explained it in great detail in class, but let him listen anyway. The three largest hunter training institutions in the world, Korea Valhalla, China White Lotus, and USA Heroes, each of the academy selects several freshmen as representatives and invites them to participate in competitions. Competitions include sparring sessions, maze escapes, and more, and they plan to send out those who scored the most points in the practice exam. The guy already yawned. Isn't it interesting to him? If their academy won first place, then all the participants would not only get a scholarship, but also, the man did not have time to finish, as he interrupted him. Of course, they would send them money and everything else. The guy is not interested. The teacher knows that the boy wants to go to the Eye of the Great Forest. He was surprised. This is the place where the final exam will be held. The last test in the competition will be the entrance to the Eye of the Great Forest. It will basically be the same as the final exam, and of course those who complete this task will be exempt from the final exam, but if they can't pass it, they will have to wait for this exam as well. The hero agreed to participate in this competition and was targeted very seriously. In the Ventric family's manor, the woman sitting at the table was discussing something, or rather, how the preparations were going. She was the head of the family, Adelia Ventric. The servants bowed to her, said that everything was going smoothly. However, the preparation will probably take another month. Since it's like this, let her continue like this. She wanted to talk about Valhalla and the others, but she asked how Rockdale was doing. There were no violations. She was told that could be reported. They should inform her immediately if something goes wrong. The servant wanted to ask something, although it had nothing to do with them, but some disturbing news reached their ears. The market started building buildings out of paper bills, the one said. The lady was surprised. Yes, they believe that the black cat was directly responsible for this. What is he planning? The cat has never done anything like this before. The woman opened the screen, and it said that Constellation was ordering her to speak in more detail. Meanwhile, the market in area number 7 was under construction. The black cat was watching it all. He was telling Constellation that they would do whatever they told them. But what is the purpose of building a building made entirely out of paper bills? We said it was a gift for him. The two-faced ruler asked if they had found the person who sold the ring yet, but all the seller told him were his basic facial features and voice. Since the customer's contact information was recorded that day, and they are going through all available records to find them, Constellation ordered them to hurry up. In Valhalla, that professor was sitting in the staff room, looking for something on the computer, and the senior instructor of the academy came up to him and asked if he had selected all the participants for the competition. He replied that everything was ready, but he wanted to look at the list. When the man turned the screen towards him, the list included Kim Joo-hyuk, Yoo So-young, Oh Seung-jiuk, Do Young-jin, and Choi Aaron. All but Young-jin were from his class. The instructor asked about Joo-hyuk. He is also participating. It was quite unexpected. At first, of course, he refused, but as soon as the teacher said that the competition would be held in the territory of the Eye of the Great Forest, he suddenly changed his mind and decided to participate. Although it's quite strange, but most people hesitated after hearing this. Maybe the guy just doesn't know what the Eye of the Great Forest is while he was sleeping. Every lesson was explained to him that this is the Constellation room, and also, it feels like he is attending this academy for some ulterior motive. The instructor wanted to gather these children and conduct a small training session. He will take care of freeing up the schedule, the teacher answered him. A few days later, the same students were sitting in the small hall, 3 guys and 2 girls who were part of the competition team, and the instructor came in. Since there are 5 years, it means that everything is in place. He is very pleased to meet all of them. He is sure that they saw him during the midterms, but he is senior instructor Lee Sang-cheol. The reason why they gathered is related to the competition between the academies that will soon take place. Today the man will talk about the training that they will have to go through. Today we have to complete 3 tasks. The first is a duel between students. This is something similar to the entrance test that they all passed. No one appreciated this. The second task is a team battle, 5 members of the academy in one team who compete against other academies. But it will not be a one-on-one battle. All 3 teams will fight at the same time, so this is a task in which the captain's ability to navigate the situation is important. The third task involves the Eye of the Great Forest. Despite the fact that the exam for everyone is still ahead, it is not able to give much information about it. But near the Great Forest is a maze. As its name suggests, it is a forest full of trees. Unlike a normal forest, the gate is heavily guarded and designed so that anyone who tries to enter through it will be detained. The only way to get inside is through the official gate. All the instructor can tell them so far is that each team will enter the Eye of the Forest. A specific task will be given to them on the day of the competition. Since there wasn't much else to say, they would move on, and now he would explain the specifics and format of the team battle. Although they all already have some experience working as a team during a dungeon raid. The hero wondered if this would be all the explanations they would get about the Eye of the Great Forest. If there was a barrier, couldn't he just rush in? It didn't seem like it would be that easy. After some time, the explanation about the Team C ended. Now he will explain what their training will look like. The guy raised his hand. If he has any questions, he asked if he can train alone. It doesn't matter if he really wants to train alone, let him do it. When the girl also raised her hand and said that she will train alone. No one else went for it. Well, then the instructor will finish the classes for today. They will see them during the training. At least before the competition started, he would master the technique, he thought, and absorb all the mana, and he would be in excellent condition once it started. And the rest of his time will be spent on training his body. There is only a girl left in the class, and all the others have left. Should she just take part in the training? Why was she asking him this? Wasn't she going to train alone, and didn't she say that she couldn't train too hard? The girl put her hand to her wound and thought. At what time he read the article, he knows to some extent about her condition, but the teacher thought it was worth asking her personally if she wants to participate. She recalled in the past, the teacher replied that yes, since that's the case, and the girl also agreed to participate, even though her wound has not yet healed. The end. She told this to the guy. He understood everything. She was already on her way to becoming the head of the family. But thanks to the hero, she found another goal, to become stronger and help him achieve what he wants to achieve. Why is she talking and then suddenly stopping and laughing horribly? Anyway, she can't train too hard. Then, for most of the training, they won't focus on controlling their mana, but will stick to light walking and keep all their energy within limits. Besides, when he finishes with his work, he will help her a little more. The guy got up and went to the door. They parted. At night in some abandoned building, someone mocked a man, asked him to have mercy and let him go. He will give everything they want, but they did not stop. One of the publishers threw a knife right into his heart, which killed him. Couldn't a man have finished him off faster? The female partner asked, but that wasn't so interesting to him. It was Lisa and Al, the Samsel Alliance. They received a new order. This is a new murder target. Obviously it was a student of Valhalla. A photo of our hero appeared on the phone screen. The man wondered why exactly they were ordered to kill this student. The woman did not know, but she thinks that the client will pay them a lot of money. They want them to kill the guy in a month during the competition. Why can't they do it now? The academy and dorm guards are very strong. Or does he want them to break through the protective barrier and kill him like this? But during the competition, there will be other academy participants wondering if it won't be more dangerous for them. She was told about it. But on the third day, the competition will be held in a place called the Eye of the Great Forest, a maze that consists of trees. Students must find their own way out of it. This means that there will be no instructors in the forest. There will only be a small drone that will observe from a height, except for the guards at the entrance. The rest will monitor this from the observation room. They will have to hide and wait for the right moment. This is not very interesting. And so they will have to fulfill this order. They both understand this. A month later, it was the first day of the competition. The fans were sitting in the stands. Rockdale Ventric was watching everything without much mood. The participants were sitting in a room. The guy was talking to his father. He received money. His father decided to tell him what to do with this money, but he will figure out what to do with it. The man ordered the murder of one of the members, Joo-hyuk, from the Samsel Alliance. The guy was shocked that the guy was serious, but he told him that there was nothing that could connect him with the guy's actions. This time, he will take care of it. The Samsel Alliance has accepted the order. The Sun has heard about them, especially Il-shin, the head of the alliance. It's a team of 3 people working together to become invincible. He knows, but there's no need to do anything that might give him away. The guy watched this and knew that you were sent a reply that he didn't have to take care of him during the competition. Well, stay here, he left. As the competition began, the man announced that the students and everyone who came to watch were welcome. He was the Academy's representative, Shim De-kwon. Before the competition starts, they must introduce all the participants. The first was the Academy, White Lotus, from China, the next Academy, Heroes, from the USA, and the final participant was the Academy, Valhalla, from Korea. The competition will last for 3 days. Today the first stage will be held, more precisely, a duel between participants. Representatives of all academies return to their seats and wait for them to be called, he announced. The instructor was watching everyone from the podium. Then a man came up to him and said that they had not seen each other for a long time. It was the senior instructor of Heroes, Jack Rover. So it is the 3rd place. It made the man a little angry. He asked him not to call it that. Besides, Valhalla Academy wasn't the only one who was ranked first. Although it's true, the instructor sighed, but this year everything will be different, the man said. This year the Heroes will take 1st place. Why is he so sure if the strongest contractor knows who he is? This is the guy called the Destroyer, Logan. His son is studying at the academy, and he came to the competition. The representative of the academy pointed a finger at the guy, Logan Jr. Since so-and-so instructor is looking forward to seeing what he's capable of, take note, this guy has already signed a contract with his father's Constellation. Since he has a contract with the Destroyer, I wonder if he uses the same permission as his father. He can use it, but not as good as his father, replied to the men. Although he heard that the new students of the Academy Instructor Academy are also very strong, especially the guy named Kim Joo-hyuk. There were rumors that he caught and beat the villain, and after that the girl was able to repeat it. Then they will be excellent rivals for Logan Jr., given that he easily defeats adult contactors. The instructor answered him without much enthusiasm. What a sluggish reaction that the participants of the first round reported to the audience. He would understand his sluggish reaction after watching the match. Players gathered in the arena. The rules for all upcoming matches are the same. The winner is the one who first knocks out his subscriber. Even if someone dealt fatal damage, the stadium system would automatically reduce it, and nothing would happen to the students. Instead of lethal damage, an electric charge will be applied, which will knock out the target, so let them not hesitate to give their best. There will be no external interference. The defense system will remain in effect until the end of the battle, and let them keep this in mind when they hear the word start, the battle begins. The hero went to the report, thought about the protection system, why use something like this, and was told that he should be fine in order to be able to participate in the next tasks. The player was standing on the battlefield. The score ended and the fight started. He was fighting with the same guy that the men were talking about. Does he think he is so strong? The opponent told him when he stopped his punch with his hand. He doesn't think so at all, but thinks that he still has a long way to go, and the opponent was amazed because he is more modest than he thought. What modesty did he stop the opponent's blow with his hand? Does it matter? It's still growing. By the way, how long he was going to block his blows, I didn't understand what he was talking about at this moment of misunderstanding. Our hero struck another blow with his hand. He hit that the opponent even flew several meters away and curled up in pain. The hero thought that the enemy would be weaker, will turn off after the first blow, but this is not the case at all. He was really strong enough to withstand his student's punch, the instructor said to the man, even though the man had seen the boy's performance at the entrance ceremony. He thought that the students were also watching it, but Joo-hyuk wasn't that strong back then. But the man understood that this was not the end. Logan had not yet used his destruction, which he was just loading in his hand. He attacked our hero. He was able to repel the attack by kicking him. What is he doing? Logan cut off a piece of his hair. If he had aimed better, he would have injured him. What kind of ability is this? The opponent thought that he only hit him twice, but he feels that he will faint soon. If he can't land a punch with permission, then there is no point in using it. But the guy looked with a serious look. There is still one way. He touched the ground with both hands and started charging the attack. The floor broke into pieces. Why is he destroying the floor? What is he doing this for? The stones flew up in the air. One stomped on the ground. He wouldn't be able to dodge the attack if he couldn't see them. The opponent thought he should attack from the blind spot. Our hero followed his movements. Why the hell does he see him too late? Hyuk threw a rock in his face and hit him right in the eyes, which the guy squeezed his eyes shut. Suryaja hid behind a piece of rock. Wouldn't it be easier to attack directly if he was using magic? The hero punched him in the face so that he fell to the ground. The first round was over and Kim Joo-hyuk of Valhalla Academy won. The watching men were shocked. That's why he was so unperturbed. That instructor, this guy is just a monster. In the next paradise, he fought with the White Lotus Academy, and there he was able to win. In the next with the Academy of Heroes, there he also won. In the final round, he had to fight against his girlfriend Choi Erin, and they made it to the final round. Even though they were both students of the same academy, it seems that their academy's victory is guaranteed. There is no reason to conduct this round other than to determine the ranking, and that winner will get a scholarship, but she doesn't care should she concede. He also doesn't care who wins, but he can't back down since it wouldn't be an oversight not to show off their skills. In addition, she should show him how much better she remembered. Let the attack with all her strength. He will take into account her injury. The girl understood everything and started attacking with her sword. They fought. The guy knocked out the girl with one blow. Everyone on the podium was shocked. The final round was over. The winner of this year's competition was our hero. How ruthless of him. Didn't he say that he would take her injury into account as well? He did hold back, but he didn't hit her in the stomach either, Barche said. It was an improvisation, wasn't it? The trajectory of her blade was going towards his stomach, so he hit it with his fist. So that's what happened. Although he became definitely stronger, his mana pool started to increase. Now he can hold a lot of mana. And the girl was stronger, too, and he looked down at her, lying head down. Later, closer to the night, the instructor praised all the students, whether everything was fine with them. Thanks to the protection system, they were not injured, but it is better to go to the infirmary and be examined. He would tell them something about tomorrow. It was a waste of time, the hero thought. Did he really have to wait another day before he could see the eye of the great forest? The instructor wanted to finish this and let everyone go to rest, and he left. Then a guy caught up with him in the corridor. He was surprised by the disciples' presence, whether he needed anything. He said that tomorrow's team battle, if he finished it earlier, he could immediately start the next one, right? Or rather, as the instructor specified in the Great Forest, this had never happened before, so he would have to look at the rulebook. He opened the book. There are 2 rules. Only one test is allowed each day. But there are exceptions. If the test ends quickly, then the student can move on to the next one at the discretion of his teacher. If the location of the test is not ready or the student is in an unsuitable state, then he is given time to prepare for it. It says that it is his discretion. What does the teacher think about this? The guy asked. Can he move on to the next test immediately? If he finishes it earlier and comes to the teacher's room, then the man will allow him to start the next task. Since that's the case, the guy agreed and said goodbye. Is he planning to complete the Eye of the Great Forest trial tomorrow? Barche asked. Yes, it's good that he found out about this trial in advance. He understood. But does he want to attract the attention of students from other academies? Is he completely stupid? It was a misunderstanding. The other replied. In any case, he should finish it as soon as possible. The next day, everyone was welcome to the dueling arena, and the rules of the second test will be explained. Today they will hold a team competition. 5 representatives from each academy will fight together. The test will take place in a mountainous area, so the audience will watch the battle through holographic screens, which will be filmed by drones. The players were warming up, but when our hero came, the competition was about to start. He apologized for being late. Why did the guy come so late? Get angry. The girl, he overslept. He should have come 30 minutes earlier. Didn't he listen to the teacher? Then he thought of something else. All of this caused him discomfort and noise in his head. He would take care of everything. Just let them shut up. The guy at least understands what this team test is talking about, she repeated, because he defeated other academies. Then they will be targeted specifically at them. Whether he wants to go alone, whether others agree with this, the players remain silent. Choi Erin approached the 2 of them to ask if she agreed with the girl. But she only asked to go with the guy, but he refused and asked her to just stay here. The other girl was angry. For some reason she was so calm, he asked her to stop tweeting and save energy. The battle started a few seconds later in the afternoon. He had another challenge ahead of him. He said what the guy was talking about. No one understood. The report started. The girl is so noisy, he moved away from the whole team because he has to prepare for the cook of the Great Forest. Almost from the very beginning, he found the White Lotus team. This is the guy from Valhalla, They were afraid. Everyone had to get ready. The commander reacted even faster than he thought. The White Lotus was destroyed. All the players were shocked. How did you get eliminated so quickly? It was only 10 minutes after the battle, and this kid from that academy went straight to the White Lotus. Logan thought he would find them sooner. The guy said he felt magic in that direction. They were students from Valhalla. No, there's only one person, he told his team. Logan ordered them to hold the magic shield. Everyone understood. The girl was preparing the magic circle, and the other one should prepare the shield. She had already done it. It's just one person. Do they really need such protection? If it's that guy, yes, Logan answered her. She doesn't know him because she didn't fight him on. This guy is very strong. She compared Logan to him, but don't let him do it. How did the magic disappear? Did he leave? Said the guy from the team. Perhaps he came back after defeating that academy. Our hero watched them from above. Logan noticed him from above, immediately got a stick in the face. That I turned him off. What is happening? The girl was afraid. She was too slow and also got a stick in the stomach. The third girl from the team charged up the attack, but she didn't succeed. Did she think that she could hit him with a bunch of magic? The remaining guys also tried to attack him from behind, but they also failed. The team of heroes was eliminated. Now he can go to the Eye of the Great Forest, right? In the surveillance room, everyone was watching the past, but as it happened, he completed the team battle in just 23 minutes. To be more precise, he spent 20 minutes on the road and 3 on the fights. They told the man, this will ruin their schedule. It turns into a problem. From what he had read in the rules, if the trial ended before noon, then they could start the next one. The instructor said, if they don't mind, then he would like to discuss it with other academies. What is the next test? The man thought. He asked me to report the result as soon as he finished the discussion. He understood. The hero asked him about it. Because I knew that this would happen, it scares me. He went with another man to discuss with them. Still need to talk to White Lotus. The heroes don't mind starting the next challenge. The man was finally convinced of this when he watched the team battle. He believes that the result will change if they postpone the test. Now he understands why he calls the guy a monster. They need to talk to the White Lotus. The men moved forward. In the break room of their academy, the girl looked at the guy with disdain. He's just a madman. She didn't expect him to finish the battle alone. The girl was going to take the initiative since their teacher told her to be the team leader, but she couldn't do anything because of that. Besides, she lost to Choi Aaron in the individual matches. She heard that she was trained by this guy. Maybe it's because of him. At this rate, she will continue to fall behind, but she can't let that happen either. If she gave up her pride, would he teach her such a thing? The contestants were informed that tomorrow's Eye of the Great Forest trial will take place at 13 o'clock today. Everyone should prepare for the next test. Everything happened exactly as our hero said. But not so fast. Before they start the next challenge, she will tell them something in advance. In the Eye of the Great Forest, he will act alone. Everyone survives on their own. If they have problems, they can call him. Alone again, the girl protested. They've already won the last 2 challenges. If they don't get the lowest score, they won't lose. Even if it's survival in the maze, there shouldn't be many monsters, she thought. The girl walked up to the guy. What does she want to say? Birdie. She was even more annoyed that he kept coming up with a nickname for her. She had just proved it. But Birdie was a cute nickname, his friend thought. All participants gathered near the Eye of the Great Forest, near the maze gate. They start the last challenge. Survival in the maze. As in the last challenge, the audience will watch through holographic screens, told everyone. Before the test begins, the man will tell them something about the maze, a more specific task and evaluation criteria. Near the Great Forest where the test takes place, it's a forest-shaped maze, as the name suggests. Inside there is a maze that is not like any other. Here is a unique environment where the rain does not stop. In addition, the monsters are quite low level, so there are few factors that pose a threat. Rain and dense bushes are a true threat to survival. The test is how well a person can survive. When students go to the maze, they will measure their condition and after 5 hours will check. The closer a person is to his original state, the higher his score. Fights between the teams were forbidden, so they start testing the students entered the maze. Meanwhile, in an abandoned warehouse, the assassins were discussing their raid on the guy who had just entered the Eye of the Great Forest. The third girl from the team approached them. Her alias was Alia. It's time to go inside. Some magic is blocking the entrance. There are only 2 people supporting her in the maze. They will deal with them first. In the surveillance room, the cameras were malfunctioning, so what was going on? Simultaneous failure of all the cameras. It seemed suspicious. They contacted the gate guards. The man asked, but no one answered. Students may encounter unexpected problems. He suggests moving into the maze after them. Everyone agreed. Other instructors arrived at the scene. But what happened? The walls of the maze were destroyed. The girl did not feel very well in Logan's team. The rain was unexpected and cold. If she has hypothermia, she will be excluded, he said. Even if they can't win, he wants them to get high scores, build a hut, hide from the rain. He asked Melissa to gather large leaves, and Dan and Luke to gather branches. The guy will level the ground and dig a hole, who appeared in front of him teleport, from which the killers came out. Why is it raining here? They were indignant. Need rain events, need to finish your mission. That's right, they are hunting our hero, the man will kill him. Logan was standing in front of him, but it wasn't their order at all. She was teleporting them to a source of moderate strong magic, because that's the only way she can find it. I mean, moderate. Who are these people, thought the guy. They said they want to kill his opponent, our hero. Besides, he felt black magic. Maybe these people are villains. They couldn't leave any witnesses. They had to deal with them. Logan knew something was coming up. What were they doing here? The man had stabbed him from the back and inflicted a wound, and what did Logan dare call him? That's how this video ends. If you have sat through to the end, please don't forget to press the subscribe button and leave feedback. See you in the next video.